Look at this!
Alright, welcome to episode 2 of this attempt at a podcast. My name's Alex Pomorski, and I'm joined by my friend whose name is...
Arden.
We're currently recording this on... What is today?
Shit. The 19th.
19th December 2021. So I'm using some notes to give it some basic structure, but otherwise everything here is unscripted. And the goal is to not edit much because I don't want to hear myself. And, well, let's just get into the first segment, which is, do you want to hate it?
XXx? Yeah, I want to hate it.
Okay, yeah. So this segment is, I want to hate it. And I feel like I remember it being just cheesy, but I know I don't love it. So,
I mean, so I've always had this disdain for skateboard culture, and it seems like XXx caters to people who love BMX biking and skateboarding and snowboarding and just think that in and of itself is extreme, and then they just needed to pack Vin Diesel into it and make a quick buck.
And it worked.
Did it work?
So
did it really work?
So yeah, what is it? The movie is XXx from 2002. It's directed by Rob Cohen, written by Rich Wilkes, starring Van Diesel, Samuel L. Jackson, Danny Trejo, and a bunch of other people. I don't know who they are. This is how it did at the box office. So the budget was $70 million estimated. And then they say to double that for marketing, so $140 million. And its total gross worldwide was $277 million. So it made around $137 million.
Yeah, so I want to hate it.
It was a success, and it was everything you hate. Yeah. So its current IMDb rating is 5.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, critic score is 49%, audience score 58%, and Metacritic is 48.
So, I mean, you've done a little bit more research into this movie before, we're going into this. I obviously have not seen it. I just have my pure loathing for it.
Oh, so you've never seen it?
So, should we go over what it is for people who may not have seen it?
Yes. So, the IMDb plot synopsis is: an extreme sports athlete, Xander Cage, is recruited by the government on a special mission.
His name is Xander Cage, spelled with an X.
Xander Xander Cage. XXX_XXX.
Jesus Christ.
And the tagline is: if you want someone to save the world, make sure it's someone who likes the world as it is.
What?
I mean, it's probably...
I don't even know what that means.
It's probably good advice, because... So, this is what you know about the plot.
I mean, I loosely know about the plot. From my understanding of what this movie is, they need a spy, so instead of going to... I mean, I'm presuming it's the government who needs this spy. Instead of going to, I don't know, the CIA or NSA or whoever they have... trained for this job.
Professional trained people who want the job.
Right, they get some sort of professional skateboard, snowboard, adrenaline junkie with no training in actual spy wet work.
Or respect for authority or the government.
Yeah, pretty sure he fucking hates authority and the government. And I'm presuming they threaten and extort him to do this job, or bribe him, both of which aren't great.
Yeah.
And, all I remember from it is the trailer, which shows him, I don't know, fucking doing kickflips off of mountaintops and shit.
It's pretty XXX extreme.
Yeah, and I remember just XXX in all red.
Yeah.
That's my memory of it.
So you're not far off. I should say I have seen it, but I haven't seen it since around it came out, which was around 2002.
I'm sorry, you saw this movie when it came out?
Well, I didn't see it until the early aughts, the 2000s, so I don't remember much. But I remember even then, as a, the prime age for being an edgy 15-year-old or whatever, being like, yeah, this is dumb. Why would the CIA or the NSA or whoever Samuel Jackson works for go find some bro dude Vin Diesel, a guy who just wants to do extreme sports and snowboard and kick flips, and he hates everybody in a position of authority.
Maybe Nick Fury was just ironing out the kinks for his recruitment process.
He is the same guy. Yeah.
Before you get Captain America, you got to go through a couple of Vin Diesels.
He is pretty Nick Fury in the movie.
Yeah. He's like, if I can't rein this fucker in, how am I going to get Tony Stark?
Yeah. That was his own self-test.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, so Sam Jackson isn't just hiring Van Diesel to be a CIA secret agent guy. He's hiring Van Diesel to go into like a Russian mob, from what I recall, or some kind of mafia, where they're all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember the first scene is like Rammstein, and that's what these mobsters are all about. They're all about the extreme, dude.
Things that Vin Diesel would like.
Yeah, things that Van Diesel is all about. And Xander Cage is all about sex, drugs, rock and roll, extreme, Rammstein, Du Hast, and Sam Jackson is like, okay, Van Diesel, go to this people who are offering you a ton of money, say that you want to take their money and sex and drugs and cool cars, and say you want to be all about that, and you want to live that lifestyle, and take all their bribes and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're working for us, the people you hate.
That's just a bad idea. That's not going to pan out. Oh my god.
So that's basically the plot. That's the general idea from what I recall.
I want them to make a XXX where they need some sort of spy, but instead of getting some guy who is really great at snowboarding, because really, how is that going to help? They'd go to like some backwoods forest and find one of these Michigan militia people.
Oh.
Who's just like into shooting and killing people.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably a fat dude who,
It's fine. He has more of a skill set than Xander Cage. Who gives a shit that he can do an ollie?
Well, honestly speaking, for this Russian mafia, he's the perfect guy to infiltrate, but he's also the perfect guy to be flipped.
Yeah. Which I'm sure the Russian mob knows a thing or two about.
Yeah. They're pretty good at that sort of thing. Okay, so that's what you remember about the plot. And you said that's why you want to hate it. So...
Well, now I want to hate it because of the profit it made.
Because it was that stupid, yet it was that successful.
Yes.
So, before we watch it, we're doing a pre-watch rating. So just based off of you never seeing it, and you despise how disgustingly profitable it was at the box office, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
A 111.
Okay.
I'll give it a 3.
That's a lot. That's 111 out of 5.
Well, I'll give it
stars.
a 3.
Okay.
I was going with addition.
Okay.
Not just putting the numbers side by side.
And then also, because this isn't really a system, what would you rate it out of 100?
Out of 100?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's harder. I don't know.
It can be fractions, too. It can be
fractions? Alright, 22.5.
Alright. So that's significantly lower than 3 out of 5.
I want to give it some value for just humor and just it's so bad, it's great. But I don't think it's going to really sink to the level where it's like a cult classic in terms of being so bad it's great.
No,
like,
it's too
like
good
some of those
to
Nick Cage movies.
It's too
or
competently
The Room.
made, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get some laughs out of it, but overall, I'm just gonna have this feeling of lukewarm neutrality towards it, which makes me hate it more.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with Donnie Darko. Is me and Brandon wanted to hate it, and then we came out of it more just with more neutral feelings than hate. More just like, meh.
Yeah, and I don't want the mad feelings. In fact, the thing that'll increase the score is if it has more ridiculous, just
right, more cheesy.
Yeah,
late 90s, early 2000s cheese fest stupidity.
Right, like I want to see Van Diesel do a BMX trick off of a baby seal over the top of a helicopter. Like, that'll give it extra points.
I'm pretty sure this... Oh, so this movie actually did win some awards.
It did not.
It won 4 awards. One of them was the BMI Film Music Award, but the other 3 were all stunt awards. To give you an idea of what you just said.
Yes! All right.
How it's going to go.
All right.
And just to let you know, this movie is lethal, because I did read the trivia ahead of time. One stunt person did die.
In this movie?
Yep.
A human being lost their life. A
human being died
for XXX.
To make XXX starring Van Diesel, which profited exactly approximately $137,448,382.
I hope his family got at least 10 of that million. Shit.
But before we watch the trailer...
Like, no one died in Marriage Story, right? Like...
I don't know. Adam Driver cut himself.
Well, you know, still a better movie.
Have you seen it?
No, but from what I've seen, I can see just talent dripping out of those 2 actors.
I mean, they're actors acting.
What's Van Diesel doing?
Stunts and kickflips and snowboarding.
That's his best stab at acting.
He's bald as shit.
One of his body doubles died for this fucking movie.
I don't know if it was his body double.
This movie that you're like, Arden, pick a movie that you want to hate, and the one I get most jazzed about is XXX. A human died for this.
Is this ramping you up?
I haven't thought of this movie. It has not been in my brain since it came out in 2002 till you say, almost 20 years later, pick a movie you want to hate.
You know there have been 2 sequels, right? Most recent was like 4 years ago.
You know, that's probably what honestly jogged my memory and kept it in my subconscious. Still, was it worth it? Out of the grand scheme of things.
Well, I guess we gotta watch it and find out if it was worth
a
human life. A sacrifice. A blood sacrifice. Let's pull up a trailer. XXX 2002.
Cage Cartel Plantation. I fucking hate it.
Oh, man. There's a lot of stunt stuff to do with Vin Diesel riding a motorcycle, too.
Look at this dorky-ass kissy face Vin Diesel's making.
Family.
I've never seen someone look more stupid before making out with a woman. Look at this!
And that's not Michelle Rodriguez.
Is it a spoof?
Movie clips,
no, that's
classic
it!
trailer.
That's the fucking movie. Okay.
So I'm just going to click the first result for XXX 2002 trailer. Alright, this is the official Green Band trailer.
Your XXX.
It's tattooed on his neck.
Danger, death, destruction, mayhem.
Gadgets. Motorcycle. Airplanes. New host.
Freak villain's gonna hop out. Not to mention the women. How long have you been a secret agent?
2 days.
And they probably picked you up, bumping iron in San Quentin.
You ever get punched in the face for talking too much?
Wow.
Director and producer of the Fast.
That guy's so rad and edgy.
Dirty, dangerous,
What?
Van Diesel.
This is delivering.
Comes a new breed
How is that?
of secret agents.
I want all of that in here.
Cool.
Let's take it to the next level.
I don't think any secret agent has ever had to be airdropped in a Corvette.
Jumped off of a bridge.
Shaken and stirred.
What the Okay, I remember that.
Shaken and stirred.
No, I remember that stupid fucking coat he's wearing.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
I don't know, dude. Looks pretty rad.
I mean, it looks like it's gonna deliver on everything I wanted, which was just extreme stunts. X out of that before it. But I mean, I still want to hate it for all the same reasons. It's just such a dumb fucking plot. Also, like, I get that they need... Okay, so you have an asset, right? You have this person that you need to put in, and you know what? I'll wrap my head around the idea that, you know what? We don't have anyone who could, in our agency, who could play the role of some dude who loves extreme sports, who's going to infiltrate.
Nobody is rad enough.
We've got no one rad. We need xXx Cage. It's in his fucking name. I'll wrap my head around that. But the NSA is also going to be like, in xXx Cage, you also call the shots. you want to drive this purple pimped out Cadillac, and then you want all this fucking guns and money in your car, and you're just going to be like, I want all that in here. And we're going to do it? Yeah.
You guys don't understand what is rad and extreme.
How do we deliver you to the drop point? We're going to let you jump out of an airplane with a snowboard. That's the only way to get you there. No better delivery system for xXx Cage.
I'm trying to devil's advocate it. It's really hard.
Good luck. Good fucking luck.
So... Is that his insertion method, or is he trying to impress them?
How is that going to impress them?
I don't know. It impresses me. If he's jumping out of a luxury sports car just so that he can jump off that luxury sports car that's been driven off a bridge, just so that he can, like, paraglide off of it...
And that's the Russian mob's gauge for, like, who to let in their organization. What if they have someone who could be really helpful as, like, some sort of money asset? But maybe he's a little overweight, out of shape, and, I don't know, isn't a trained stunt person? Like,
guy...
well, I mean, if we can't drop you onto Mount Everest from flying airplane and a snowboard, then listen, what good are you to us?
This is basically the plot of the Fast and the Furious 1. Except for replace Paul Walker with Xander Cage.
No, Fast and the Furious 1, from what little I remember, made a lot more sense because it was just, they were going into some sort of drag racing ring and you needed some guy who was good at drag racing. Oh, by the way, Paul Walker was a cop?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah. I mean, granted, Fast and Furious used to be grounded in some form of reality, but... I'm saying...
Fast and the Furious is more grounded in this fucking movie.
The general idea of the plot is you need some radical dude who can blend in. And in the original Fast and Furious, Paul Walker was rad enough to impress Van Diesel.
You need a radical dude that can blend in. XXX is tattooed on the back of his fucking neck.
Yeah.
That guy stands out.
It's just so stupid it would work.
Out.
Yes! And that's what this 2002 Russian mob needs.
Some guy who sticks out.
Yeah. I bet you there's a nightclub scene where Van Diesel walks in and he's just too cool for school. He's rad and he's rude.
He's probably wearing that stupid fucking coat with the fur.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, he's wearing a big fluffy coat, so...
The only brown trench coat in America that also is fur-lined. How the fuck do you get that?
It's wearing something so stupid.
He's dressed like an anime
pickup
character.
Artist. Yeah, an anime character. And I bet you there's a scene where the mob boss is like, this guy, you and me, we're different. We're not like regular people. You understand it because you're just as stupid and gaudy as I am.
We're both addicted to thrills.
Yeah, we're both addicted to thrills.
Regular life doesn't do it for us.
It doesn't do it for us. We live a quarter mile at a time.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah. So I guess before we end the segment and watch the movie, I should ask, well, who picked it? Why did they pick it, and why?
I think we already covered it, but I picked it. And I picked it because you asked me to think of something that I wanted to hate. And for my first time on this segment, I wanted something that I truly hated. So I sat for a moment, and for a moment I meant days.
Oh, damn. This is a serious decision.
And tried to let a raw emotion of hate produce a movie.
Oh, man.
And this is the one that it produced. I just sat with a pure hatred and waited for it to morph into a movie. And to my surprise, Like a magic eye puzzle, you know, from the 90s where you'd like look at it and like the image would all of a sudden just kind of pop out.
Coalesce into a big egg-shaped head belonging to Van Diesel.
It coalesced into that. I was like, fuck. And it surprised me because I never think about that movie. And like I said, it's been a void in my head.
Yeah.
It has not existed. It has taken up 0% memory. I guess a portion of the hate that exists in my soul was where that was living.
Repression. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do we call him Van Diesel?
We call him Van Diesel because a girl back in high school did this report over... We had to do some sort of PowerPoint presentation, I think, on our favorite... It wasn't even like favorite actor. It was just like our favorite thing.
Oh, man.
You could pick anything, right? That's your favorite. You could pick like a loved one. You could pick like a hobby that was important to you.
You could pick breathing?
You could pick stuff like that. And she picked her favorite actor, but proceeded to mispronounce and misspell his name throughout the entire report, calling him Van Diesel.
Van Diesel.
The thing I love most in the entire world is actor Van Diesel.
You know what? Maybe we were reading that wrong. Maybe there is some actor named Van Diesel.
No, it was a PowerPoint, remember? So there were pictures of Vin Diesel on it.
Okay. Big coincidence.
The laughter could not be contained from me. This 15-minute presentation gushing over an actor you don't even know his fucking name.
It's impressively obfuscated.
It was not just once, the whole thing. Van Diesel. Fucking Van.
Oh, man.
I hope he jumps over a van in this movie. I hope he drives...
I'm sure he does.
I hope he drives a van off a bridge and then into the back of a slightly larger van. I hope that's what happens.
Well, he is a van, so it'd be a van jumping over a van.
In a van.
In a van. All right. So, we're going to watch the movie now, but just keep in mind that a man died. A man lost his life for the sake of this movie.
Oh, trust me, it's in the forefront of my mind.
All right, so let's get into it. All right, so now that we just finished watching XXX, let's get into the next segment. Did we hate it? But before we get into it, Arden, what happened?
That's some shit to just drop on me. You son of a bitch.
What was the story? What was the plot?
Alright, so I'm still kind of in shock of what we just witnessed, but let me see if I can dial it back. So, it's the NSA. It is actually the NSA led by Sam Jackson needs to infiltrate some Czech gang called Anarchy 99. And apparently they sent some James Bond guy to do it. Yeah. And he's completely unequipped because, I guess with no training whatsoever, he goes into this Rammstein-esque death metal cult gang in a tuxedo and sticks out like a sore thumb and gets murdered instantly. But you would think that the way the movie would go, that they would need someone who's radical to go along with this gang who would fit in. But no, he just says, fuck it, we're just going to send in a bunch of criminals because they're expendable. And it doesn't matter if they die.
Yeah.
And they happen to luck out, and Xander happens to be 100% kind of their thing.
Yeah.
And then he kickflips his way to freedom and justice and saves the day.
Yeah. So, I guess to summarize what I just saw is XXX, it's like James Bond, but dumb, tacky, and American.
Yeah, I would say it's dumb and tacky, and I guess it's American. I mean, is it James Bond American? I mean,
it's belligerently American. Like,
oh yeah,
it's trying to be James Bond, but it's like
it's James Bond, like how Austin Powers is James Bond, right?
It's like an Americanized parody.
A British parachute, like a parachute with the British flag on it.
Yeah.
XXX literally goes parasailing with an American flag parachute that was packed in his secret spy gear.
But we'll get to that. Oh, I should say spoiler warning, because from here on out, we're just going to go through the plot. And
You ain't
spoil the
spoiling
shit
a
out
2002 movie.
If you haven't seen XXX from 2002,
It wasn't your demographic.
Yeah. You weren't a rad skateboarder. Alright, so the movie starts with pot shots at Bond, like you said. A guy in a tuxedo. So we're at a literal Rammstein concert full of metalheads and an anarchist organization that dresses with that aesthetic. Yet we have a tuxedoed spy running away from dudes. And his idea of a good exfiltration method from this situation is to climb the stage.
Yeah, he literally progresses to the stage and climbs on top of it. It's such a jarring distraction that clearly they're making fun at James Bond. I mean, they literally are grabbing your head and pushing it to the screen and telling you that James Bond is outdated and not for cool people.
Yeah.
It's so jarring. I forget if he's like just trying to stall for time to like upload some information or something.
It doesn't say.
But it just comes off like he's a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
As he's trying to escape by getting onto this onto the stage where a literal Rammstein concert's going on, and they're like shooting flamethrowers and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, I thought because it's not actually Rammstein; it's just some band. They could have just as easily been
Was it
like
not? They were playing Du Hast, right?
No, they were not playing Du Hast.
Oh.
I don't know if it's supposed to be Rammstein or not, but they don't announce it like, oh, we love the Rammstein concert. Thank you, Anarchy 99, for getting Rammstein. So they don't announce it. So it could have well just been some band. I thought it was an awesome setup to have them just like, have the leader of the band like see this James Bond dude and go, hey, flamethrower the James Bond guy, and then get that done. That would have been badass, but no, instead... He, turns to his sniper, the sniper member of the gang.
He's got a space gun revolver.
He pulls out a literal space revolver. And then, but he still, lays down on top of the balcony like he has a sniper rifle, but it's a stupid space revolver. And he shoots James Bond as he's literally on the stage. No one else hears it.
To be fair, he tees it up for him by climbing the stage.
He does. And then he falls backwards, and then everyone just, mosh pits him and, holds his dead body up in the air.
Him, yeah.
Yeah.
Woo-woo! James Bond, but radical.
They could not... They would have been better just having, a Star Wars-style title crawl and just saying James Bond's for weak pussies.
And then the very next scene happens, and the very first thing that you see right after that pot shot at Bond is a red sports car pulls up, and the bumper sticker is "Skateboarding is a crime."
Oh my god. Yeah, this movie takes so many chances to literally talk to the audience. Skateboarding is a crime. I don't know how many times they reference video games in this movie. But
twice for sure.
But here's the funny thing, right now, we kind of live in a weird time. When I was a kid, I would have never thought I could openly say, I like superheroes or comic books or even video games, really, for that matter. It was kind of dweeby, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of cool and accepted.
It's normal.
People in my office, lawyers openly admit to, playing Minecraft and that shit. All the time. But, in 2002, it was still not cool to video games.
Yeah.
There are so many references, hard references to video games in this movie.
Yeah.
And you can tell, though, they come from a boardroom executive, right? Because
what do these kids
it's first-person shooters.
Yeah.
You need to... What does he say about the fucking bazooka? It's be less CIA, be more PlayStation, blow shit up.
Yeah. I remember cringing at that line when I was a kid.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can tell they're trying so hard to appeal to what whoever made this movie kids thought was cool at the time.
I mean, they straight up... So, Van Diesel straight up looks at the camera because he pretends he's the valet and he steals the senator's red sports car with the bumper sticker. And
it's kind of ahead of his time because he's kind of he's basically who's that guy who's a professional YouTube idiot? Jake Paul?
Or Jake Paul, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically like Jake Paul.
Yeah.
He's a YouTube streamer, but this is in 2002.
It's kind of ahead of his time, really. Yeah. Yeah, so he's streaming himself on some crappy 2002 Handycam in 280p resolution. But anyway, he flies it off a bridge after the police are chasing him. While he's recording himself, he's like, these senators want to shut down video games and rap music and skateboarding. And guess what, Dick? I'm rad! Fuck that noise! And then he flies it off a bridge and then he parasails. And he's recording himself the whole time because guess what? Guess what Vin Diesel's job is before he gets hired by the CIA, NSA?
I don't know he had a job.
His job?
I don't know he makes money doing that.
Well, his thing that he does is the Xander Zone.
Oh my god, you're right. He's like selling these videos to the black market. He's a fucking celebrity for being a criminal.
When he gets back to like his gang hideout where all his friends are, which are always partying, this girl who apparently like handles his Xander Zone affairs, she mentions like the dark web, like the secret internet, because like you said, they don't have the YouTube.
Right.
Yet.
Which I don't know. Does that pull money? Does that?
Is it like the snuff market? The snuff films?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm thinking like there's no affiliate links on the dark web, right?
Yeah. But he is still famous enough for a Prague, Anarchy 99 in the Czech Republic knows who he is.
Yeah, because that's so. Again, going back to the cacophony of boobery that happens in this fucking movie, like you think Sam Jackson wants to get the Xander Zone, right? The perfect setup for this movie would be like from the small intel they get, they hit a brick wall because their James Bond guy got killed, but from the small intel they get, they realize that the leader's brother is super into this thing called the Xander Zone.
You get some. This is what you would do if you're a spy agency. You'd find some kind of in with this organization, some way to infiltrate something that would get you in.
Yeah. And
like, let's say that it's a biker gang, you might choose like a veteran or somebody who fits the right demographic, who appeals to this crowd.
Sure.
And that would make sense.
And you have the literal guy, right? You'd be like, oh, this guy loves the Xander Zone. Let's go to Xander Cage. You know Xander? And instead of threatening the fucking guy, you do what spies do and you appeal to what he wants, He's probably a little bit bored of
That's how you get a
stealing
agent.
senators' cars. He keeps trying to get new thrills, and he stole that car. It seemed pretty easy for him. Maybe Xander's getting kind of bored with that shit. Yeah. And Sam Jackson's like, you know what a real thrill is? Being a fucking spy. Yeah. And let me get you in on that. And at first he bucks the authority and all that, but he realizes he gets to really do everything he's wanted to do.
Yeah.
On the next level, right?
You appeal to him.
Yeah. And Sam Jackson be like, look, this is a high profile mission. We don't give a shit what you do. This is completely off the books. Do it Xander's way.
Instead, what they do is Nick
For
Fury...
one, they don't know he's Xander Cage.
Yeah. For one, they don't... They just know he's a crook. That's what they know.
Yeah.
So what they do is they break into his club, they tranquilizer dart his ass.
And then, other crooks.
Yeah. And
Xander's not the only one. There are tryouts.
Yes. So what happens next is Xander Cage wakes up in a diner. And it turns out it's a decoy. It was a test, right? So they point a gun. They're like, I'm robbing the place. And he's like, this is all a bunch of baloney. I can see right through you because I'm so good at X Games that I can spot a double agent a mile away. I can spot a phony.
He knows 100% it's a fake because, fuck, what was it?
Well, it was multiple things.
The final thing was like the
Times,
waitress was in heels. It was like, no way a waitress would ever be in heels.
Waitresses don't wear heels. People who work on the stock market, and I can tell that because he's wearing a business suit.
What the fuck does Xander Cage know about Wall Street tycoons?
Yes, what does he know about Wall Street tycoons, and why wouldn't a Wall Street dude be reading the Financial Times, even if it is a Sunday?
Even if the market's closed.
He might be reading something else in the newspaper.
Also, I mean, people who are really successful in the stock market don't just go like, Sunday, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah.
Monday's going to come around and I'm going to have no strategy and I'm just going to fucking wing it.
Yeah.
They speculate all the time.
And you could be reading the sports section. Okay. But anyway, and then the third guy, he's just like, and he was just a bad actor. Like, I don't know. I haven't been, like, stuck up before by a robber. I don't know how they act. I'm not going to chance it with a shotgun in my face.
Wait a second. This thought just hit me. His issue with the whole setup, one of them was that this Wall Street guy clearly wasn't a Wall Street guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't. He was a robber in the scenario.
Yeah, so he's
So it would make sense that he would have fucked that up.
Yeah.
Even if you're going like, you know what, that's very astute. No way would a Wall Street guy read the Financial Times on a Sunday when the markets are closed.
Yeah.
He also wasn't a Wall Street guy. He was a robber
Yeah.
He was really a CIA agent posing to be a robber who was posing to be a Wall Street guy.
So the things that tipped him off could have just tipped him off. It could.
Xander could have ate a bullet right
Yeah,
the fuck
he could have
there.
ate a bullet because he read the situation wrong.
Which he can do because
he
in
has
the next step.
and he will do later.
Yes,
the very next scene!
test.
The very next sequence. Okay, so after this test, he gets tranquilizer darted again by Nick Fury. And Nick Fury is Samuel Jackson, by the way. He plays the same character. But anyway.
Actually the same character.
Yeah.
Instead of an eye patch, he has horrible scars on the left side of his face.
Yes. That's his...
And he's also blind in that eye. He just doesn't wear an eye patch over it.
Yeah. So that's his asymmetric eye thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the next scene, he wakes up on an airplane, which means he was knocked out for a pretty long time. But he wakes up and goes, what are we, some kind of suicide squad? Around a whole bunch of other bald criminals who say family?
Yes, he does do all that.
But yeah, so he wakes up on an airplane, and they're on their way to Columbia drug farms. And the way they deploy these guys is they open a parachute out the back of a C-130, and they throw them out of the airplane.
Yeah.
And so now they're primed to think everything's fake, right? Because the diner test, they all did the same diner test, which turned out to just be a fake scenario set up by the NSA to test their ability to spot a hostage situation, I guess.
I honestly don't know what that was testing actually.
Yeah, I guess...
It doesn't help him later on in the movie. It's not like he's in a diner and he goes like, I know this is a real diner.
It would seem that the reason for the diner is to be able to spot phonies, but this next scene refutes that.
Yeah, so I mean... So again, Xander is captured. They realize they're in Colombia.
Yeah,
drug
farms.
They're on a farm, and it's a cocaine farm.
Yeah.
And again, what happens when you just randomly select criminals? One of them's like, "Fuck this," and instantly starts stripping leaves off a cocaine
You know how much
plant.
this sells for in the street?
I don't know that's how cocaine works, that you could just sell the leaves, but I think there's a lot of refinement that has to happen before it's valuable in any way, shape, or form.
But again, and repeatedly throughout the movie, this shows that this isn't the smartest people to pick, because this guy does do that. He just puts weeds in his pocket.
Yes.
Cocaine plants.
Yeah, instantly, like, fuck whatever tests we're in.
And they run off. They immediately steal some cocaine, and they try to run off in random directions.
Yes. And
that's what criminals would do.
They all get captured.
That's what I would do.
Oh, of course. They all get captured. They're also not given a mission, right? They're just ripped off this plan. They don't...
So presumably they're also still groggy from being tranquilizer darted, and presumably held unconscious because they wake up on an airplane already in Colombia.
Yeah. So they have no idea what they're doing, so I don't understand how it's a test whatsoever.
And just thrown out of a C-130.
They end up getting captured, and they're strung up in some gross-ass Colombian barn with a bunch of torture tools around.
Yeah.
And Danny motherfucking Trejo comes in.
Machete.
With a machete. With a machete.
A bloody machete.
And starts, like, basically telling Xander, like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he wants to get information. He wants to torture him. And the whole time, Xander Cage, who could instantly spot this fake-ass diner, is like, what?
What a bad actor.
What a horrible accent. You're a bad actor.
You think I'll take you seriously? I'm gonna cut your Achilles tendons. And he's like... Pfft.
He doesn't find out that this is not a fake setup until Machete literally holds the bloody machete inches from Xander Cage's nose and goes, that smells like real blood. Which also, I don't know how he knows what real blood smells like from his extreme sports background.
My theory is that he's a terrible skateboarder.
So a skateboarder.
Yeah, so a skateboarder. So he's familiar with blood.
There's Tony Hawk, Bam Margera, and then the rest of skateboarders.
Yeah.
They're all bad, except for those two.
Like I said off air, I can tell a skateboarder is good if I don't see them eat shit. That's about how I can tell.
Which they all do.
They all do eventually. Yeah.
Yes. They all eat shit constantly. I've never
and even
seen
the
a
good ones do.
Yes.
But yeah, so anyway, what happens next is, of course, Xander Cage escapes, you know. He's strung up, but he does kickflips and stuff, and they somehow get out of there. But what happens next is he finds a motorcycle, and he just proceeds to seem like he drives in circles for like literal 10 minutes of screen time.
I was going to say that scene went on so long that I eventually just asked you, I'm like, how long have these helicopters been
Yeah.
just flying around shooting shit?
They're just circling, and the Colombian drug lords are doing more damage to their own plantation at this point. Everything's on fire. Everything's exploding on fire, and everybody is shooting everywhere, but nothing is hitting Xander Cage.
Right. It just had no direction, right? So it got really boring, because, I mean,
It's
just
just
helicopters
stops.
are flying around shooting
Yeah.
stuff. Xander Cage is, like, driving around on his motorbike, but I get that he's trying to escape, but I don't know where his goal is in the escape, right?
And
it's not like I need to make it to the fence, or like I'm trying to escape, but I'm currently facing this problem. It's just helicopters are shooting at him for a good 10 minutes.
Yeah. The only goal I could see in that scene is he's trying to help one of his fellow criminals out because he's, like, injured. And he's like, I gotta save my buddy. But what he does is he gets on a motorcycle and he's like, I'll come back for you. And it seems like for the next 5 minutes, he's trying to find his friend.
Yeah, like he knows where his friend is. He sets his friend down and says, I need to get wheels, I'll come back. And then
wheels.
He gets wheels. For one, he gets a dirt bike. His friend is, like, shot up and incredibly injured, so I'm not sure a dirt bike's something you want to transport that person on.
Yeah, this guy needs to be, like, carried.
I know you're dying, but you're riding bitch. As I fucking do 50-foot-high jumps.
And he does stunts. He does a stunt through barbed wire.
Yeah.
So granted, he's really good at a motorcycle, but that's not the ideal exfiltration method, I don't think.
Definitely not. And then also, he forgot his friend, which I guess could be attributed, you know, if you want to be realistic about it. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
I get that he's probably good at extreme sports pressure, but he's never been shot at by multiple helicopters in a Colombian gang war.
Yeah, it doesn't work out well.
So maybe he did legitimately, like, fuck, I could have swore I would remember that my friend is somewhere in this Colombian coke plantation, but now that I need to know where he is, I don't know where he is.
So what eventually happens is he's riding around for, 30 minutes of actual screen time, and eventually the helicopter thinks it blows him up, but in reality they just blew up their entire cocaine plantation. And Xander Cage is lying in the dirt, and all of a sudden, like, 6 SEAL Team 6 members pop up, and they rescue him and his friend, which just begs the question, if the SEAL team was already that close to the coke plant, why did they need Xander Cage?
They're dressed up as coke plants.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't. They just, I guess, wanted to see how he'd do in that situation, right?
Yeah, and
I don't get what they're
Nick
testing.
Fury is like, you passed the second test.
Also, keep in mind...
And they knock him out.
Those are the same coke plants that his friend is in. Which,
yes.
I don't know if you recall, but earlier in that scene, not to get nitpicky about this shit, but earlier in that scene, one of the Colombian drug lords sees the friend, and, like, shoots at him, and he ducks behind those plants, and the guy peppers all those plants with bullets.
Oh, yeah. Well,
those
the whole
were people the whole time.
They have, like, 2 attack choppers, like, 2 gunships just shooting at their own plants, setting them on fire the whole time.
No, but my point is...
They shoot the SEAL team?
You see them shoot the SEAL team.
Yeah, the SEAL team is hiding in the plants in ghillie suits the whole time.
They are the plants. When you see them stand up, they are the fucking plants.
Yeah, so at some point, you would have thought... Because seconds before, they pepper the area and blow it up, and that's why they think Xander's dead. And then, in that same area, the cocaine plant SEAL team pops up.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I don't know what happened to the third criminal. I think he just ran away with some cocaine.
And we're not just speculating or, like, saying, like, that's logistically where the bullets hit. They make a very intentional point of showing you a scene with only the friend ducking down in those same very coke plants, and you see bullets hitting those coke plants.
Yeah, you see it explode in a fireball.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nick Fury pops up and he's like, you passed the test, and we tested you for teamwork, you have leadership, you have tactics. All of the things we didn't select you for.
Yeah.
We just lucked out there, I guess.
Well, keep in mind, they didn't select him for anything.
They selected him for extreme sports.
No, they didn't.
Well, they selected him because he's like a Suicide Squad. He's disposable.
Yeah. Like, we keep thinking that because that's what would make sense for the movie.
You would think that would be the only thing that he has going for him.
The only reason he selected him is he was sick of, I guess, his James Bond types dying in the field.
Yeah.
And his plan was to start throwing expendable bodies at this problem until it went away.
And it shows in, like, the NSA HQ, like, a screen flashes with a bunch of faces of dudes with, like, nose rings and stuff. And he's like, he even mentions tattoos and stuff. He's like, crooks and And people with tattoos
Yo.
and people of your type. We just throw idiots at the problem who we don't care about until it solves itself.
Oh my god.
You want to talk about Dutch angles real quick?
No, I'm sick of them.
Every single scene that is
this
not
movie
action.
made me motion sick.
Yeah. So everything's got to be extreme to the max. So if there's not something action-packed happening on screen, tilt that angle.
Yeah, the entire movie is tilted. I felt like a dog.
Yeah.
You know how you approach a dog and they just have to cock their heads? It's like this movie.
Broken tripods. From all
Constantly.
extreme.
and it alternates with each cut. So I'm just, oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of nauseating. But, so, okay. So he's passed the tests. So the first 30 minutes or so is, I guess, just testing him. And next, I think he gets knocked out by the Colombians. They don't knock him out again. Right?
No, they don't.
They fly him on some Dutch airline or something.
Yeah, they just straight up fly him to Prague at that point.
So at that point, they fly him to Prague, and now he's in the Czech Republic. And do they give him the coat?
Oh, the coat.
The coat. So Bond's got a tuxedo, right? XXX has a stanky ass yak fur coat.
It's stanky. Also ahead of its time. It's fucking Macklemore's coat.
Yes.
It's the thrift
Do you want
shop
to go thrift
coat.
shopping?
Yeah. That's what it is.
It is. So he's got his Macklemore on, and the first thing he does when he gets there is
Goes to bed.
Well, yeah, he goes to bed. So
Xander Cage XXX. The
he
first time he arrives in Prague, he's bitching about how he's tired.
Again, he
and goes
doesn't
to bed.
want to be there because Nick Cage forced his hand. He's like, either you go to federal prison for the rest of your life and you become a hollow shell of a man, or you go to Prague and do missions for an indeterminate amount of time.
Yeah, he doesn't even try the bribing approach.
Yeah.
It's not even like he says, I'll give you $2 million to do this, and Xander Cage is like, dude, I don't care about money. I care about only thrills and kickflips and
like,
ollies.
We can't do as many kickflips in prison.
Well, then you'll go to prison, right? And he just leads with that. He leads with the stick.
Yeah. All stick, no carrot.
He's like, I will put you in prison forever unless you do this thing. What?
And it works. So he goes to Prague. First thing he does is get intimidated by a Czech cop, and then he goes to bed. So when he wakes up the next morning, he goes to a club, and the first thing he does, as you would expect, is he rats out the Czech cop to Anarchy 99.
Not just Czech cop. He says he's secret police.
Yeah. This guy over here, he's secret police. Why don't you kill him? So what doesn't happen, because Xander Cage isn't supposed to be the villain, is they don't kill this cop.
Yeah, somehow they just, let him leave, which... you don't know from the beginning, but by the time this movie ends, spoilers, this German metal band is, or not, this German metal anarchy, gang, is doing some Dr. No level planning to, unleash bioweapons into all of Prague through submarines and shit.
At first, all we know is that they're stealing cars, because this is a little Fast and Furious-y at the beginning here.
Right, so it definitely icing that cop is what would have happened.
Yeah.
Or at the very least torturing him to find out if he knew anything and then icing him.
Yeah.
But instead they just let him go.
And okay, so coming back to the Xander Zone, the only reason any of this movie works from this point forward is that the brother, or the mook of the main bad guy, Yogi Bear, or whatever, Yorgi,
I think.
One of the big goons of Yorgi is a huge fan of the Xander Zone.
Yeah, huge fan. Gigantic fan.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you are awesome. You do all the kick flips, and you love skateboarding and rap music. You're awesome, dude. And so Yorgi is like, oh, okay, I guess my friend thinks you're cool, so we can do business with the car stealing. And so that's how he gets his in with Anarchy 99. But we thought at this point maybe Sam Jackson is thinking this is why he's good. But in the next scene we see Sam Jackson, he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, he didn't even know that this guy that he this guy in his applicants list
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Even like Burger King managers will vet
Background. You check their Facebook.
also their resume. He
Yeah.
literally took a bunch of criminals and was like, give them the test.
This is the NSA we're talking about.
Yeah.
They would be all over the Xander zone. They would know.
They would know that
The
one of
Anarchy
these guys
99
is a
likes
famous
it.
criminal.
Yeah.
Hold the fucking phone.
What?
He does know. He does know.
He doesn't know. He just doesn't care, and he doesn't connect the dots.
He should, yeah, because he should know, because he names all of Xander Cage's crimes. That's
Yeah.
how he's threatening him with the. He's saying he's
That's
got
how
the
he
3
threatens
strikes,
him.
right?
Yeah.
And he knows that the most recent was stealing from a senator.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that that shit was like on video
Oh,
and
yeah, he
like
doesn't
put
know.
up to the dark web. He should know.
He should know. By all rights, he should know more than
He
anybody.
should know.
Yeah.
But instead, he's like, "Oh shit, no way!
Yeah.
This guy's a fan of the Xander Zone, and you're that Xander Cage."
Wow, what a lucky coincidence. Wow, that panned out better than I thought. Anyway, Xander Cage proceeds to be a complete misogynist. And then...
Oh yeah, super
he's like, "Hey,
sexist.
princess, why don't you let the big boys talk?"
Oh yeah, literally. Just how about you let the men talk about car stuff? And
You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a silly little princess. Get out of here.
which I get what they're doing. He's trying to be flirty because like she's giving like equally like anti-misogynistic stuff back to him.
Yeah.
Like calling him, she doesn't call him a meathead, but that's kind of like what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
he's a dumb macho brick shithead, and she's like, you know, some dumb woman, and they're just.
They're
There's
being
some
dicks
sort
to
of
each
sexual
other.
tension about it. They're throwing it back and forth, but it's fallen flat.
Yeah, I did
It's
not get
straight
the
up-
feeling of sexual tension.
No.
That might
And-
just be Vin Diesel, because Van Diesel...
Is not the best actor.
Well, he's not the sexiest actor, I don't think. But
Also that. But yeah, it definitely falls flat. Part of it is the line delivery where he's straight up, "How about you let the men talk about cars and you like go away? Is there something better you could do with your time?"
yeah. Why don't you just go buy shoes?
Like, holy shit. It's
But-
bad. It is
Anyway.
really bad.
So after Sam Jackson lucks out, and Sam Jackson gives XXX all the reasons in the world to flip because Anarchy 99 is offering him millions of dollars to defect, basically. He comes back and he goes to the American version of Q Branch, where they give him a revolver.
It was the dumbest fucking spy tool ever. They do give him the bandages. He has bandages which are C4 explosive, which is kind of neat. But
Yeah, exploding band-aids. Yeah.
they give him a gun. It's a revolver, and you can either put bullets in it, or you could put tranquilizers in it, or you could put a special tranquilizer in it that shoots red paste out before it knocks someone out
Yeah,
to
so
make
red
it look
paintball.
like you've killed them.
Yeah. So, obviously that pays off, because why would you set that up without paying it off?
Yeah,
In the very next
it's
scene...
the most blatant fucking setup ever. Like,
Yeah.
and here's a bullet that makes it look like you murdered someone when you haven't.
Yeah. So the very
They'll, like,
next
zoom
scene,
in on it.
there's the Czech cop comes back. They're having an Anarchy 99 secret terrorist meeting, and lone Czech cop from earlier is like seen in the roof just standing there. So they shoot at him and they chase him down.
He's not just standing there. He pushes the glass out of the windows
So I could see better.
on accident. It's
Whoops.
almost worse. He literally knocks about 350 pounds of glass from the top floor onto all their fancy cars.
It crashed. It like broke glass.
You fucking missed that? Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so that happens, and then they chase his ass down, as you do.
Mhm.
And luckily, the one to get the shot off is Xander with the blood bullet, so that paid off quickly.
Yeah.
And luckily, they weren't like an actual mob, because they didn't immediately do body disposal on this guy.
Right, they leave him in the streets.
And I just realized, luckily that cop played along. Luckily he didn't just be like,
No,
I got shot with a paintball.
It was a tranquilizer gun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same as his tranquilizer dart,
It just
but it
also
also
shows
does
blood.
that.
Okay.
So it's supposed to make...
Paint. Okay.
I guess if anyone checked his pulse to see if he's really dead,
Yeah.
they would know.
Like I said, luckily
they
they
didn't
didn't
set
do
it
body
up like
disposal.
it really knocks you out.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a good thing that some Russian mobsters didn't pop out with some chainsaws and just hack him to bits right there.
it's also a good thing that no one ever notices Xander, like, pop the cylinder out of his revolver and, like, line up the right color round
Yeah.
to go. Also, Xander, they make it clear that Xander Cage doesn't really get how guns
doesn't
work.
get guns. And somebody who does know guns pretty well, I wouldn't be positive of which way the cylinder turns and stuff. I would be so confident that I would line that up right.
You would need to play around with it, right?
Yeah.
To be confident to be able to do it. You could do it, but you would have to know.
I'd have
Xander
to know
doesn't know to turn the safety off on a gun to shoot it, as we find out way too late in the movie. Like 3/4 of the way through in the final scene.
All of his gadgets, other than the revolver, it's shown that he doesn't know how to use them. He doesn't know how to use his gadget car. He doesn't know how to use a regular assault rifle.
Well, what's kind of funny is he like... Okay, we're jumping ahead, but he doesn't have a gadget car from the beginning. He has just a regular fucking GTO.
Yeah.
But,
American Q branch, nerdy NSA guy.
Right.
Is just walking him around the facility.
But eventually, when Xander Cage is going to plan, like, his final, like, assault on Anarchy 99.
Yeah.
He says, like, as he's gearing up, he like puts in all these like rockets and shit in front of the GTO. And
there's just all these. There's these weapons separate from the car, and Xander's like, "Yo, nerd, I want you to put all these guns in this car."
But then he proceeds to do the mission without the car.
So he did a special order gadget car, but he didn't bother to read the manual or do anything to know how to use it.
Right? No, it literally comes to him at the end of the mission.
Yeah.
Like, at the last little bit, like, the Q guy's like, hey, I finally got this done for you.
But we'll come back to that.
Right when you need it.
We'll come back to that. So, yeah. So right now, he's just potentially got this cop killed twice, this Czech cop. Anarchy 99's like, you're our friend. You are now in Anarchy 99. So you think the rest of this movie is going to be him as an undercover agent?
Oh, fuck. I forgot about this part.
Nope, because the very next scene, what happens is, and what did you call it?
The cacophony of boobery.
Yeah. So he finds out that this chick is basically another spy, or he thinks she's a defector from Anarchy 99. The chick who he had a tete-a-tete with earlier. Because he's sneaking around himself, and he sees her sneak in and like take secret pictures of like a vault or something.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, you're a spy or something, you're a defector. Let's have a fancy dinner, even though I'm going to wear my tank top with tattoos. So they go to this fancy dinner in Czech Republic.
In his tank top with tattoos.
Yeah.
And he tells her he's a secret agent.
And she's like, I want to defect from Anarchy 99. And, he tells her, let's not get past that. First of all, she's laughing at him because he's like, I'm a secret agent for the NSA, which he says out loud. In
the middle of a crowded restaurant.
And she's like,
as he says that, two waitstaff literally like walk behind him and like brush his shoulder.
Yeah.
They're so close.
Yeah, people hear him say this. I'm a secret agent. And then...
Which also he is not.
He's not.
He's lying.
Yeah. So, but apparently, Anarchy 99 finds out that he is a secret agent, even though, like we just said, he should be off the books, right? So, Sam Jackson, as we covered, didn't pick him because he wants to recruit him into the agency as an official agent or anything.
Honestly, I don't know yet still why he picked him.
Yeah, it doesn't...
I don't know why the criminals needed to be selected.
It seems like Suicide Squad. That's what it seems.
Suicide Squad made a little bit... No, Suicide Squad made no sense.
No,
they both make zero sense.
But it seems like the same
concept.
logic. You pick some criminal because they're disposable, and apparently. So you would think this would be some Wet Works, Black Ops, off the books kind of thing. But yet they've tied him to the NSA. And my only guess how they do that is because he says out loud that I'm an NSA secret agent in that restaurant.
Right.
Because moments later, there's a sniper outside, and they're like, we're gonna shoot XXX as soon as he comes out. And the chick is like, yo, Van Diesel, they're gonna shoot you if you leave here. So his plan is, he's like, I can't walk out the front door. I guess I'll pick up this tray and beat people up.
Yeah, he picks up a literal metal tray and is... he uses it to blind the sniper so he can run outside.
Yeah.
He pretends to beat up the Russian girl so the
it looks
Anarchy
like they're
99
enemies.
doesn't...
So she's not blown. Her
cover's not blown. And then he runs out the front door and grinds down railings down a couple of flights of stairs.
This is probably the most X Games moment in the movie.
Yes, and then he's out of railings, so he has to just run the rest of the way, and then Sam Jackson picks him up.
And Well, yeah, Sam Jackson, they black bag him, throw a bag over him. They probably knock him unconscious again just because of its old habit now. And then they bring him to a movie theater where Sam Jackson's watching some opera by himself. And Sam Jackson's just like, you're fired. Go home. You're done. You're done here. No worries. Go home.
He implies that he has enough information on Anarchy 99, which I don't know what information Xander got at this point.
Yeah, he was not given a very specific objective.
No, he knows literally nothing about the group other than now he's in it.
Yeah.
And
by the way, at this point, earlier in the movie, when he did the Cars thing, Xander Cage is like, I'm out. I'm done with this mission. I just want to go home. And then Sam Jackson's like, no, I've changed the deal on you. To make you hate us even more, we're going to force you to go back and get more vague information.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, there's literally no reason for Xander Cage to keep going on with this fucking plot anymore.
So at this point, in this opera, they've both switched their character traits from the previous time they met. Because now Xander Cage really wants to go back on the mission, and Sam Jackson is like, we don't want you anymore. We don't want you to keep going deeper. Your cover's blown. Get out of here.
Yeah, Sam Jackson's like, we have enough information.
We're going to send in a sweep team.
We're going to send in a sweep team. He literally like just waves his hand like it's no big deal. He's like, it'll be done. It'll be clean. It'll be quick.
The implication is that it's too late. Like, they might be there right now already killing all
Right,
terrorists.
he says like the cards have been dealt.
Yeah.
As if it's too late, Xander. I actually sent the sweeper team as I was picking you up. They're probably doing it right now.
Yeah.
Don't even bother with your girlfriend. But what he meant to say was, I'm thinking about sending an email to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to go through the chain of command this time. Make sure the CO signs off.
Because it never happens.
And the reason that Xander, doesn't want to give up right now is because he sent the Russian spy girl to go back in. He's like, we need you to go back in and get more intel for us. And so he feels kind of guilty that he made her do that, now that they're going to just send in a sweeper team. So what Xander does next is he proceeds to go off the rails and continue his mission because the NSA didn't force him to give back his gadgets. So he's still got his fancy revolver and X-ray binoculars.
It's not a fancy revolver. It's a revolver.
His revolver that has fancy bullets.
It has fancy bullets.
And he has X-ray binoculars.
And as we find out, the revolver is really worse than a traditional gun.
Yeah. He has the opportunity at one point to pick up a submachine gun, and he just holds on to his revolver. But anyway, so we find out at this point that Anarchy 99 has a secret submarine with the bioweapons. And we also find out that there's such thing as X-ray goggles that can see through walls in color. Because he takes some pictures of this.
Yes, through a wall.
Yeah.
Now finally he has something that we could consider intel.
Yeah.
He finally has something that he
can
can give to Sam Jackson, which, does he give that back to them?
I don't think so, because the sweeper team never seems to sweep in and take care of the situation. They haven't got, by the way.
No, they know about it. He had to have got the information at some point.
Yeah. Well,
because they're rushing to Prague. Yeah, somehow he got it.
They're just stuck in the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
The sweeper team hasn't got there yet. So Xander goes in by himself, does the X-ray, and then there's a bunch of scientists who are very careless around this bioweapon.
Yeah.
They're drinking wine, popping champagne, and just tossing around this missile with bioweapon inside of it.
It looks fragile as fuck. It looks like...
It's glass.
It's glass. It's a glass fucking missile with the compound.
You can see it mixing chemicals in it.
Yes, and if the chemicals mix, it's the worst poison ever.
Yeah.
They literally pull it out, just set it on a table.
Yeah, play hot potato with it.
Cut cake and drink champagne, get drunk around it.
Yeah, no masks.
To celebrate.
And then, because he's the villain, Yorgi next hides behind some glass, and then he kills the scientists with the bioweapon. And, lucky enough, he has enough to last, because I don't get why you would kill all these scientists. I guess to cover your tracks.
He says they're liabilities now, and we don't want anyone to know our shit, but I mean,
standard enough villain, I guess.
How much did he have them make for him?
Yeah.
The way they acted, they broke champagne and celebrated over a single missile. I figured that was the first workable version.
Yeah. What if he tries to do his plan, launch the rockets, and blow up multiple cities with the bioweapon, and it turns out that the rockets aren't quite perfected, and the mixture isn't quite perfect, so it doesn't do what it's intended? Get more scientists, I guess.
And have them start from square one.
Yeah. So he kills the scientist. The chick is sad. Xander Cage is like, oh man, I kind of feel like I might be in over my head.
Yeah, he's visibly mortified, which honestly was kind of great.
Yeah.
Because he does actually... It's probably the best acting that's ever come out of Van Diesel. Because you can tell he's like, oh my god. Like,
I kind of felt some emotion from that.
He's not handling it how Bond would, right? Bond would just inquisitively look at it. Yeah. And use the situation to learn. But Xander Cage is really...
oh, fuck.
He's not even taking pictures anymore. He's so, like...
He's kind of, like, throwing up a bit in his mouth. He's like, whoa.
Like...
Did you get into this, or was it, like, open when I bought it?
I opened it for the salad. Yeah, so... Oh, shit. I forgot where I was going with that.
Bioweapon.
Something good. Oh, well, maybe it'll come later.
Alright, yeah, we'll continue. So some guards come in, and the next thing we see is Van Diesel struggling in pain somehow on the ceiling of a cave ceiling. His face is just agony.
They couldn't have made... So it's a typical scene where someone has to, like, you know, brace themselves on the ceiling. You've seen Jackie Chan do it a billion times, right?
Yeah.
Where they're hiding by, like, being up in the ceiling somewhere. But he's, like... He's got his body, like, crooked up at the top of this cave wall. So
first of all, how the hell did he get up there? Because it's like, there's no props to stand on.
Yeah, it's not a low-hanging ceiling. There are... It's not like he's in the corner. He's dead-ass in the middle of the room, 30 feet in the air.
And his, like, tongue's hanging out. He's like, ah!
His, like, neck is all cranked. It looks like a comedy scene. He's audibly groaning in pain.
Yeah, he's like, ah!
But not like a pain, like, I know he's trying to make it read like he's really struggling to stay up there, but it reads more like he's super uncomfortable.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie where I just imagine screaming from him.
Yeah.
Ah! So anyway, he drops on the guards, and it looks more like an accident than anything. It looks like he just falls on them. And so he's escaping the facility. Guards are shooting at him, and it's at this point we realize the revolver was a bad weapon to take.
Oh, yeah.
But to his credit, he drops it. He drops the freaking NSA revolver and picks up a regular gun.
Which, to his credit, that's how bad it is. He doesn't even, like, take it with him, worried that maybe they'll reverse engineer this brilliant revolver. Yeah. He fucking ditches it for a regular-ass handgun.
Yeah. And then... He gets on another sick dirt bike, and he does a sick trick over a fence where he, like, drops back and grabs the back of the bike. And for a second, we thought he's just going for 20 points.
Yeah, he does take that opportunity to shoot someone, which also, he could have done that still sitting on the bike.
And better, probably.
Probably.
I like to think the gun part was an afterthought.
For all you BMXers, he does a Superman.
Yeah, he does a Superman. Yeah, that's right.
I really wish he just did it to do it. You know, sometimes your reflexes just kick in, right?
Yeah. It's like, I can't waste this opportunity with this jump. I have to get some points.
Not even that. Just, you know, the lizard brain kicked in, all the muscle reflex. It was like the perfect jump, the perfect angle. His body just did the Superman.
Yeah.
That's why you picked Xander Cage. You
yeah.
Someone who
That's his muscle memory. Stunts. That's his skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when he's doing what he does best. And when he's doing what he does best, Superman's just come out.
Yeah.
He just poops him out like it's nothing.
Yeah, so he does the Superman, and it's rad as heck. It's totally tubular. And then at this point, he meets back with the Russian chick, and he's like, yo, I feel really bad about getting you involved. Can you please go back?
I don't know if I remember the scene.
So they're on some rooftop in Prague. And
yeah, I do. It's the second time he has her go back for no reason.
This is when
That's why I remember the scene. It's pointless.
Yeah, so she explains to him at this point that I'm not just a defector. I work for the FSB. I am a spy for the, basically CIA or whatever, the NSA of Prague, of the Czech Republic. And she's been spying on Anarchy 99. So at this point, he's like, all right, well, I know I did all this work to get you out of there. I'll send you back in now to contradict my character for a third time. And so he works with, I don't know if he's working with the FSB. I think it might be the NSA. So somehow Xander Cage, who's been fired by Nick Fury twice now. Nick Fury's like, go home, Xander, just go home. He walks up to like the Q branch dude and the NSA and I think the FSB too. So he's got the Czech government and the American government NSAs, and he's like, "Yo, just follow my lead. We're going to this mountaintop. We're gonna shred some powder. It's gonna be sick."
Yeah, but let's be clear. The way you just explained it sounded like he might have done it a little under the books. He
walks up to them.
He holds full-ass briefings.
Yeah, he holds a briefing. That's what I'm saying. He takes them under his wing. They follow his lead. He finds Q Branch dude. He's like, "Nerd, get in the car." The nerd gets in the car. They go to this briefing room with the FSB and the NSA.
And like, he holds a briefing on the mission.
"All right, secret intelligence agencies. I, who have been on the job for 1 week, a trained BMXer. We are going to shred some powder on this mountaintop."
With a whiteboard.
Yeah, with a whiteboard with maps on it and like red strings connected.
I got the impression Xander Cage wouldn't even know what a whiteboard is if you told him to pick one out of a lineup.
I'm not convinced he knows how to read. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They follow his lead, as you do. They drop him out of an airplane, and he proceeds to use a snowboard, which I think you would use some skis because that would be more tactically advantageous and you have both feet at your use. Yeah, but anyway, he's got to shred that powder. So they drop him on the mountain. He's shredding down the mountain on a snowboard, and of course the first thing that happens is they spot him and like 24 snowmobiles with machine guns chase after him. And so I don't know what his plan is, but he drops like a satchel charge and causes an avalanche. With some admittedly passable 2002 CGI.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
That held up.
It held up pretty good.
Yeah.
So he's shredding.
It did not have the Escape from LA vibe.
No, yeah. It was. You can't see the black outline around it. And he's flailing out of control while on the snowboard while he's falling down the mountain.
Yeah, the whole time, it just seems like a bad plan. For one, like, the snowboard scene itself is very long.
Yeah. It's another one of those scenes, just like when he's in Colombia, where it's just stunts.
Yeah, but even before they spot him, it just takes a long time of him just skydiving, then snowboarding down the mountain, and before anyone's even seen him, just to, I guess, get to his destination before he causes the avalanche.
Yeah.
Which, you're sick of snowboarding by the end of it. But the whole time, it does look like he's barely holding on for control. And you're just thinking, probably because the stuntman is actually barely holding on for control.
When he's first dropped from the plane, he's just like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Ah! Falling. And then once he's on the slopes, he keeps like jumping off ledges and he's like, "Ah!"
Right, but the problem is, like, for your escapist fantasy, right? Because that's what these, like, Indiana Jones, like, Bond films, they're, like, male escapist fantasies. You want to be calm, cool, collected, capable, charismatic, sexy, shit like that. You don't want to pick stunts, which, while they might be impressive feats for stunts, you don't want it to make it look like your guy isn't good at what he's doing.
So the Bond version of this, because they have done it before, Bond on slopes with skis, the Bond version of this is, bad guys chase him, they shoot at him with machine guns, he does clever tricks and, like, takes them out,
Right. If he ever has a hard time, you never think it's because his skills as a skier are subpar.
It's because he's against good mooks, like trained assassins and stuff.
Correct.
In this one, to its credit, it's realistic in the sense that after he sets off the avalanche, Vin Diesel is just trying to survive, and so are the snowmobilers. They don't even shoot at him. They're all just trying to not die.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like Van Diesel had an escape route because he just jumps on some pole and hangs there.
Which, by the way, that pole was the thing he needed to destroy with the avalanche.
Yeah, it's some, outpost. We don't even know why he needed to destroy it, but, the avalanche destroys it.
So if his own plan was successful, the thing he's on is going to be destroyed by the avalanche he started.
It's just by chance, his egg head pops out of the snow, and he's like...
It's because he was in raw... Yeah, he's going on raw instinct, man. He didn't know.
Yeah. It's just, shredding those pipes.
He was a squirrel caught in a hurricane.
I just thought this would be rad.
He clung to it.
Yeah. Yeah, he found something and he clung to it, and that's how he didn't die. Yeah. So that happened. And then the next thing is there's a castle for some reason, and he just kind of waltzes over to this castle.
Yeah, that castle's in throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't know where it is geographically.
It looks... honest to goodness, I wish we would have looked it up beforehand. I feel like it has been, at least the like part of the castle has been fucking Dracula's set from that Keanu Reeves movie.
Yeah, so he's in Dracula's castle at this point.
He's in fucking Dracula's castle. It has creepy-ass Victorian artwork all throughout it.
Yes. And this is the Bond villain scene where the villain has the both tied up to chairs, the girl and Xander. And he's like, haha, I knew you were a spy all along, girl. And he's like, haha, Xander, you're an idiot BMXer in over your head. Yeah. And presumably he doesn't kill Xander at this point, just because he's trying to... He just wants to figure out why the American government would send this extreme sports dude.
Right?
He's like, what the hell are you?
What is the American government doing?
I just want to figure this one out.
Are they in a moment of weakness right now?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
But that gets interrupted because some Prague beat cops come to save the day.
The sweeper team.
Yeah. The sweeper team is just some beat cops in their wee little like Honda Civic
But they're
cars.
not beat cops. Two of them have RPGs.
Yeah, well they're beat cops with RPGs. So this is like GTA beat cops.
Yeah.
So that happens. They get saved by some regular police officers and presumably the FSB and whatever. So it's a shit show. And at this point, there's some machine gun shooting, and this is when Xander can't figure out the assault rifle. It goes click, click, click when he points at the bad guy.
Yeah, and then the Russian agent has to explain to him how to use a safety on a gun.
Yeah.
He's used guns before in this movie. He just lucked out because other people were shooting them first.
Yeah.
So
the girl saves him. The girl saves him.
Yeah,
she was misogynistic towards earlier. Yeah, she bails him out by shooting the bad guy. And she's like, you had the safety on. And he's like, fuck, man, they never taught me this in BMX school.
They taught him what real blood smelled like.
Yeah. And in the next scene, he apparently knows how to fire a heat-sinking missile launcher.
Oh, that's right.
Indoors, but
Indoors.
I digress. He's like, no, you gotta be more like PlayStation. Boom, boom, pow. And he shoots the heat-sinking missile. Yeah. So the next thing I remember happening... Because it's all kind of a blur at this point in the movie.
It is. It's a 40-minute blur of action.
Next,
but not good action.
Next thing is, so him and all the agents and stuff are chasing after Yorgi, who jumps on a speedboat, and Xander Cage, untrained marksman, he lays down prone and tries to shoot Yorgi with this machine gun. And he misses a whole lot.
He does eventually get him.
But he's being crushed by a door. Just because he has no situational awareness.
Yeah, he lays prone underneath this, like, closing blast door to give you a sense of urgency. Like, if we don't get Yorgi now, like, he's gone forever.
Yeah.
Even though we could... There's
Roll
so many
away.
ways. There's helicopters, like... The whole SWAT team's there.
Yorgi's not getting away. Just so you know.
He's not getting away, but they add this blast door element to make you think that Yorgi's getting away. Along with, by the way, the submarine that's heading to Prague. That's going to unleash this bioweapon.
Yeah, so that's the big ticking clock at this point, is Yorgi has set off the Doomsday device, which is a stupid-looking space submarine that flies...
Also not a submarine.
No, it's a boat. It's a stupid-looking space boat. They
call it a submarine.
It's just a boat that looks dumb.
Yeah, it's going on top of the water. It's like a hoverboat, but not.
Yeah. So it's like trying to... I guess it's going to some ideal location so it can launch off its payload of bio-missiles. And these bio-missiles are going to blow up, like, 10 cities and kill everybody in them with, like, super bioweapon. Yeah. So that's the ticking clock at this point. But anyway.
And the blast doors.
Yeah.
Because Xander Cage lays down prone underneath the fucking blast door. And the whole time you're seeing it, like, come down. And you're
there's
just thinking,
people
like,
next to him, and they're not like, hey, Xander, you're going to get crushed.
Like, dude, get out of there.
So he ends up getting his butt saved again because they put, like, a canister next to it. And he's like, oh, shit, I was about to get crushed.
It crushes him a little, though.
Oh, yeah, it starts to crush his butt a little bit.
It crushes his butt a little bit.
Like,
you see Vin Diesel, like, scream in pain.
Again. So after he doesn't die by that, something hits Yorgi and he blows up. Right? His speedboat crashes into a wall.
A bullet hits Yorgi, and he, like, pulls the wheel left for some reason, and it crashes into the... I think he might have had, like, a way to kill the device remotely or something, and intentionally kills himself.
Oh, maybe.
Because they make it look very deliberate, like he puts his boat into the wall so it explodes so they can't, like, recover his body or something. That could also be poor filmmaking.
Yeah, my brain was
Lord knows there's tons of it in this movie.
So Yorgi explodes unceremoniously in a boat crash. And then the next scene, somehow they get into the spy car. Now this is when you find out how much of a shit show Xander is, how little planning he had, because he does not know how to use this car.
Well, he did do planning. He wanted this car done before he does this final assault.
He's telling other people stuff to do. And
he just decides to do the assault without the fucking car, and by happenstance, it's like, what are we going to do? They drive the car, and they're like, hey, guess what? Your crazy-ass car is ready.
Q Branch is like, I finished your special order spy car.
Just now. So he's in it, and he doesn't know how it fucking works.
And this is when you find out what boobs they all are, because the girl is like trying to read the manual upside down. He's trying to drive using a 2002 GPS.
I'm sorry, it's impressive that there was a manual for it. But also
it's written. It's written by him.
It's written.
And she says his handwriting is terrible.
Yeah.
That's how slapdash this whole operation is. So they're driving side by side with the boat and the Doomsday boat. They're driving side by side, trying to use a shitty 2002 GPS to find where it's going to intersect with the bridge. She accidentally presses a flamethrower button and a bunch of gadget buttons, trying to figure this car out.
Right.
And they blow up a potato roadblock.
they do. That's one of the elements of during this chase scene. That's one of the mini climaxes in it. Is there's a little potato roadblock.
Yeah.
And they still don't know how to use the fucking car. They've been trying for quite some time. It's been like 8 minutes of action where they're trying to figure out the damn car.
And during this whole sequence, they just now remember that you have to have some stakes as to why you care when this doomsday goes off. So they start to show you random shots of gargoyles and architecture from Prague and people walking around. Yeah,
just to remind you, like, in case... Because they knew their audience, right?
Yeah.
These are, like, snowboard BMX kids, right?
Yeah.
They realize that they picked some... Well, I don't want to say obscure, but maybe...
It's a place they've never heard of, probably.
They've never heard of Prague. So they were like, shit, we need to let these kids know that Prague's, like, a city... It's a big city with culture and history.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they have like all these shots of Prague.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
Like lovers in the square with doves.
People pushing like baby carriages.
Yeah.
A lot of pictures of gargoyles for some reason.
Yeah, lots. And, like Jesus looking down and shit like that.
So anyway, you're like, this is a real city. It would suck if it blew up. Well, actually, just... The city wouldn't blow up. It would just be the people who die.
Yeah, just the people, which is another funny thing. I mean, they keyed mostly on the architecture. The architecture would be fine.
That was what wouldn't be harmed.
Yeah.
Anyway, after he blows up the potato cart, they find this bridge, and the Doomsday weapon's coming. And they're like, oh shit, didn't plan this out either. What are we gonna do? And he's like, I gotta jump on the boat. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, give me that grappling hook gun. I'm going to jump on the Doomsday boat. So he does. He shoots the grappling hook at the boat, and then he proceeds to do the Austin Powers parody, but for real.
Yes, he parasails.
He parasails with a U.S. flag parasail.
Which, moment of sadness, let's take a moment to recognize that this is the stunt where someone actually died.
Yes. So parasailing...
Did you confirm that?
It's in the IMDb trivia.
Wow.
So we'll read that after we do the synopsis.
Yeah, so the stunt itself is Xander is parasailing to catch up to the boat, but...
He's got a grappling hook on the boat, and he's got a parasail...
Attached to him.
So that's how he's chasing the boat.
And at some point... No, the cord has... For it to work, the cord has to be attached... The cord's attached to the parasail, actually. Because what he does, and this is probably where the dude died... And it's an impressive stunt, but again, it's one of those stunts that makes Xander look like he's not in control, which again is not something you want out of your secret spy hero. Because they are such dangerous, harrowing stunts.
Yes.
But, so the parasail is attached, the rope is attached to the boat and attached to the parasail, so it's already very unstable. And he uses that as a zip line to zip down to the boat.
Oh, he zips
under a bridge. He does it at the exact same time the boat's going under a bridge. So apparently what happened to this poor stunt dude is he ends up hitting one of the pillars, but... Mm-hmm. And it all happens seconds before this rope that you're using to zip line actually snags on the bridge and then fucks up the zip line in and of itself.
Yeah, it must have got tangled.
Cool stunt. I see why it probably got an award, but also Not great for your film, and not great for your stuntman.
Yeah. I wonder if the family watched XXX, like, at the funeral.
Oh, sweet baby
This is
Ray.
what he would have wanted. Sad. But anyway, so U.S. flag is definitely what you want if you're an NSA secret agent on a secret mission where you don't want yourself identified. But anyway, he ziplines onto the Doomsday boat, which is named Ahab. So he's on Ahab now, and this is when he finally realizes, after the whole movie, that he's went way over his head.
Yeah. There are so many great shots of this Doomsday like submarine with Vin Diesel on it racing towards Prague.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. Like, at first it's just the submarine, but as we get closer, the missiles come out.
Yeah, they're prepping the launch.
And
you can see them with their glass. The chemical is mixing.
He's full ass, deer in the headlights, looking at him,
Yeah,
mouth breathing. He's clueless.
This is when he realizes he does not know how to disarm bombs. He is going to die.
And everybody in Prague.
Yeah, he is just deer in the headlights, does not know what to do next.
Kick flip your way out of this, Van.
Yeah. Van Diesel is just for like 2 minutes straight looking dumbfounded at these missiles.
But he actually does kick flip his way out of it, because what he does is he takes one of those missiles and he inverts it and puts it back in the slot.
Yeah. Oh, what was his one-liner?
I do not know if he had a one-liner. This ride's gonna suck. It was pretty lame.
It's probably just something generic, like, I live for this shit.
Yeah.
And he does a kickflip off of the back. It's a sick 10-point maneuver off of the boat. The boat... No, that's not what happens.
No,
what happens is he, like, just jams something in the console after... He puts the missile upside down.
Because that's what pushes the boat down.
So
and
that's
he pulls
what's going to
the hard
destroy
drive
the
out.
boat. So the boat's going to get destroyed by the missile. But what he does next is, yes, he pulls
the hard drive out, so
which
it doesn't
causes
know how
it to dive.
fly.
It doesn't
No, that's
know
not what
so.
causes it to dive. The missile's propulsion is what causes it to dive.
Oh! So the
He
hard
pull-
drive is just
He
so
pulls
they
the hard
don't-
drive out because the boat would autocorrect, presumably.
Right.
'Cause
And
that's
the
what's
missiles, this
choosing
might
its
be the
destination.
guidance system or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the boat nosedives, and Van Diesel flies off, once again screaming. Ah! He just flies off like a rag doll. So, next scene is Sam Jackson and the chick are like, oh man, what a sad sacrifice. Even though Sam Jackson, during this whole thing was like, yeah, it's fine to sacrifice Prague. It'll save 10 other cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden...
In this whole movie, he hasn't cared about XXX's life,
At all. Not one bit. He hasn't cared about anybody's life.
No.
And then he's clearly bummed that he thinks Xander Cage might be dead.
Yeah, he's like, I miss his bad attitude.
He consoles the female lead,
And he's like, female lead, I will...
Ileana.
Wait a second, I just realized another thing.
Hmm.
So Xander Cage is like, I'll help you, female FSB agent, but what do you want in return? And she's like, I want American citizenship and asylum. And so later we find out she's working for the Prague NSA, the FSB. But Sam Jackson at this ending scene, after they think Xander Cage is dead, he's like, I'm a man of my word. I promised Xander that I would give you asylum in the United States. Does she want asylum? She's an FSB agent.
She does need it. She says they forgot about her at some point, which again,
she's like
cacophony
burned.
of boobery.
Right. Okay.
They somehow just forgot about her being there, and that's why she eventually truly was Anarchy 99, because she really had no connections back to FSB.
Oh,
but
so it's
also
even dumber than I
somehow
thought.
still has those connections in a way,
Yeah,
because
because
she's still working with Ivan.
The police.
She works with the Ivans.
Yeah, works with the Ivans, and the police bail them out at the end. So
Yeah.
presumably that's her connection.
So that's strange. So I don't know if she still needs citizenship, but it does seem like she's more or less unofficially FSB at that point.
Okay.
But I don't fucking know.
He's a man of his word.
He's
That's
a man
all
of his
that
word,
matters.
although he's not, because he went back on his word twice with Vin Diesel.
Yes.
And then also fired him, and then when Vin Diesel's like, no, he's like, okay.
So essentially he has no consistent character traits.
No.
So anyway, next thing that happens is they're in Bora Bora in a tropical paradise, and he's got a nipple tattoo, we find out.
Yeah. I don't know what you have to say about that.
He does.
He has a nipple tattoo.
And Sam Jackson's spying on him. He's like, hey, XXX, we got a whole new franchise to kickstart.
You passed the test. So apparently this whole movie was another
Third
one of his
test,
tests.
Yeah. So he's not out of the weeds yet, apparently.
Again, man of his word.
Yeah.
He's gonna extort him again.
Yeah. So that was the plot,
Yeah,
such as it was.
that was pretty much the plot. That was everything.
Feel like I was just beat over the head with stunts and grindage and sick action. Oh, the last thing I should mention.
You know, the thing about it is there really wasn't that much sick action, and I made that comment as we were watching it. Like,
it wasn't. There didn't seem like there were stakes behind the action.
right? Well, not only that, there was no action that I wouldn't expect to see out of any like other Bond movie, right? Like,
I guess that's the point.
They had a motorcycle chase. They had like a ski/snowboard type chase.
So it seemed less like it was like this is cooler than Bond, and more just like this is a different flavor of Bond.
It's Bond with a less cool Bond.
Yeah, with a more inept.
With like, I didn't come out of this movie like every James Bond movie. It speaks to like the core like unga bunga caveman in me.
Yeah,
that,
the power
like,
fantasy.
I would think it was cool to be Bond. I can't help it. I'm super ashamed of it. It's super lame. But like the 12-year-old boy in me, even now at my age, is like, yeah, it'd be fucking badass to be Bond. I am not thinking I want to be Xander Cage at the end of this movie at all.
Yeah, it seems like he's still in like forced bondage to the government because they got shit on him.
He does not seem capable.
Yeah.
He is not suave.
No. He admits at one point he's not rich.
He's not knowledgeable. He's not rich.
Yeah. So he's basically flying by the seat of his pants the entire film.
Yeah. So he's less cool Bond, but the reason you think you make it is because there's this demographic of people who want to be cool, rad, and love like BMX shit. So we're going to see a lot of that.
But they also want to be spies.
And you don't see any of it. Like, it's not really incorporated in it. Yeah, he's on a motorcycle, but it's not BMX-y except for he does a Superman, and he, like, there's a trick where he, like, he does a jump and he makes the bike go parallel to the ground so he can fit in between barbed wire.
Yeah.
But there's that. He takes a dinner tray and grinds on a couple of rails, but that takes all of 2 seconds.
You know what the formula is?
And then he does a snowboarding thing.
The formula that they're doing here is the same formula as Point Break and Fast and Furious. Point Break was a group of surfers who also happened to rob banks, but it made sense that Keanu Reeves, he's like an ex-pro athlete, would fit in with this group of surfers. So that makes more sense. And Fast and Furious, Paul Walker, he's like an FBI agent, but he's like a rad younger FBI agent who's also way into cars, so it makes sense that he could infiltrate Dom Toretto's gang. But in this one, the extreme sports is completely ancillary to the Russian mob that he's infiltrating.
100%. It's ancillary not only to the story, it's ancillary to the movie. It's not fucking in there.
It happens here and there.
If I didn't name it XXX and didn't give you the background to it, you would never guess that it had some sort of like BMX-y, like extreme undertone.
And you know that's what they're going for, because as we said, the awards that it received were all stunt awards, basically. And it features literally Tony Hawk and stuff is in it.
Yeah.
So it's like going for that demographic.
But
it seems like that's a skill set that sometimes comes in handy, but isn't the main focus of anything in the movie.
Yeah. You think they would have been better off, it would have been a better movie if they needed a bioscientist. And they were like, fuck, how do we train this guy to be a spy? And, like, gave him, like, the physical training.
Right. Yeah, if they just get some NSA guy and train him up on extreme sports, maybe. Or do Host.
Right.
Metalhead kind of.
Make him look like Xander Cage.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Spies are great at lying about who they are.
Yeah.
They could have done that.
Oh,
in fact, there's a joke where when Vin Diesel wakes up in the C-130... next to other criminals, the guy to his right looks just like him. It might have been one of his stunt doubles.
Yeah, there's two other bald criminals.
Yeah, that look just like Vin Diesel.
You know what? You're right.
It probably was one of the stunt doubles.
Just to give them props, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I have to say about the movie itself is it didn't have a Bond opening like there usually is. You know, like they get some famous musician.
It did. It was literally a Bond opening where Bond was made a complete fool and then killed.
Well, I'm talking about the short music video, but they kind of put that at the end.
At the end, yes.
But instead of a slick, sexy thing with Bond girls and stuff, it's playing some like dive bar rock music, and it looks like a tacky Ed Hardy t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's got like the wings and the revolvers and skulls
his
and
stupid
Triple X.
revolvers and the special bullets are on the screen.
And it has like a chick in like a leather dive bar jacket with a gun, and it's like, meow, 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 I'm too extreme for extreme.
Yeah, it's playing some Nickelback song.
Yeah. Instead of some sexy, you know, like,
instead of Chris
music.
Cornell.
Yeah, Chris Cornell, or, you know.
Beatles.
So it's a tacky Ed Hardy, like, smoke and beer flavored version of James Bond.
Yeah.
With extreme sports tacked on.
It's just straight up awful.
So, let's get into the next segment. Did we hate it? So now that we finished XXX, Arden, what did you think?
It is honestly what I feared out of the movie. It's not so bad it's good. I love me a good cult classic. I'm never watching XXX again. So, it didn't have enough of the BMX stuff for me to be shouting like, whoa, constantly as I'm watching the fucking thing.
To watch it for the stunts.
Yeah, it's lame James Bond. It had a couple of points where I could laugh, but all in all, like it was super lukewarm. I stand by my 3 out of 5.
Okay,
is that what I gave it? I'm
it's
giving
out
it
of 5 stars and then out of 100.
Out of 100, I'll give it a 20, a solid 20.
So it dropped by 2.5 points.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting to maybe. I thought there was a good chance I might end up loving this movie, kind of like how I love Crank.
Yeah,
just at a certain point, getting a lot of schlock is fun. This is not a fun movie in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't give my pre-watch stars and out of 100.
You didn't.
Shame on me.
Well,
okay. So after watch, I'd get it. You know what? Out of 5 stars, I'd give it 3, and out of 100, I'd get it 50.
You give it a 50.
I'd give it a 50.
You would watch this movie again, given the
so
right scenario.
You didn't like it.
If I asked you twice, do you want to watch this movie?
You said it
you're
wasn't
one of the times
enough.
you're going to be like, yeah.
So, okay. So, I think it all depends on context. In the context of watching you hate it so much right next to me and questioning all the stupid stuff is what made it enjoyable. If I were to have to watch this on my own, by myself, no. It would not be as enjoyable for sure. I'd drop it down to maybe
the garbage.
30, 40, yeah. It would be not as good. But in the context, I think it is so bad it's good.
No.
Because it is trying. It's not one of those, like...
it's
not
trying.
a Sharknado where it's trying to be schlocky.
Oh, yeah,
purpose.
those suck.
Yeah. It is trying to be the replacement for James Bond. And you can see it's trying hard.
Yeah, but it doesn't quite go so bad that it's amusing. It's just they're missing the mark and you're seeing it.
It's cringy.
Yeah. They've got to go one step further unintentionally.
Yeah.
To get it into that cult classic territory, you know what I mean?
Well, I guess what I would...
You're Neil Breen.
If this was Neil Breen or The Room, I'd give it a way higher score, like 100 out of 100 for being so bad it's good. I say for so bad it's good, XXX 2002 is a 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess here's where it's good, okay? Sometimes I love The Room so much where I'm watching if it was someone new, like I'm too attached to it and I want them to really, like I really want them to get it how I get it. And it's hard for me not to comment and it's almost distracting. If someone's like, hey, do you want to watch a bad movie? I could watch XXX again and I'm not so attached to the cultness of it that
it's not like quotable
it's going to be
lines.
distracting at all.
It's
yeah.
not like, oh, hi, Mark, or anything like that.
Right. I'm not going, shush, this part's funny.
Yeah.
Listen to it. So, I'll give it that. It would be more enjoyable to watch, certainly, with someone else. I still think the movie fucking sucked.
It did.
I'm a positive person. This movie fucking sucked.
So, with that said, what was your favorite scene?
Shit. If I had a favorite scene... I'm gonna have to go with sick-ass Vin Diesel jumping out of a moving plane with a snowboard. and again, it's a perfect example of them doing these like crazy-ass stunts that I'm sure to a professional it looks fantastic. To a layperson like myself, it looks like your hero is completely out of control flailing through the sky.
Yeah.
And thinking to himself that he's dead.
I have to agree. I think my
they
favorite
so
scene,
miss the mark on those stunts.
It's those. Yeah, it's the hanging on the ceiling scene. It's the falling out of the falling out of the airplane with the snowboard scene. Just because I can literally picture him screaming his lungs out.
It looks like he is. You're thinking, is the stunt person okay? Is the stunt person gonna be fine? Like, that snowboarding scene, because you didn't tell me what scene the stunt person died on.
Yeah, until it happened.
I thought that was it. How out of control the person at
I could
flying through the sky looked. I was like, that's it. His parachute's not opening.
His parachute didn't open. That's
he's
how he
like
died.
he's like reaching for a second parachute. Like, that's why he's flailing around like this.
And they just kept it in.
I can tell it looks like... I'm sure that stunt was, like, flawless, and he did all these different tricks that I can't name and don't know.
Varials,
yeah,
whatever you would call it.
But, again, to a layperson, which is, I'm sorry, a majority of your movie viewing audience, it looks like he's completely out of control, tumbling through the air.
Yeah, every time Van Diesel flailed through the air is my favorite scene.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite scene? I think I can guess.
The James Bond opening.
Oh, that was your least favorite?
That's my least favorite scene.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Colombian mind-numbing stunt where he's just driving circles.
No, and this is why. That kind of speaks to what I dislike about the movie and how it's just, like, boring, but it's not really, like, doing anything for me. It's not going over the top. Mm-hmm. But, yes, the James Bond scene went over the top in terms of how they're really just pushing in your face how this is not, this is not your dad's James Bond. Yeah. But it's just so fucking offensive with how they did it.
Yeah.
It was so blatant. It felt like the director had me by my hair. It was pushing me into the screen. And just, like, this is... James Bond's an icon. Like, yeah. I grew up watching all the fucking James Bonds. Like, I don't give a shit about James Bond. Like, make him Daniel Craig, make him Idris Elba, make him fucking Pierce Brosnan. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not that married to the character. But it says something when I'm not really married to the character at all. And I'm a little like, what the fuck are you doing with James Bond right now? Like, do you have to be that blunt about it?
It's poor taste, is what it is.
Yeah. It's poor taste, which I guess kind of tracks for, like, that 90s radical stuff. Like, they did a lot of that, like,
anti-establishment.
Yeah, that poor taste, anti-establishment sort of shit. Which I am super anti-establishment. Which also is saying something that I'm looking at that. Like, this is just not funny.
I guess that's the thing. Because I'm also not totally establishment and stuff. And I'm all for taking a jab at, like, Disney and stuff. But
and James Bond!
Yeah, Austin Powers did it right. Austin Powers makes... Yeah. The whole thing is making fun of James Bond. But at the same time, it's in good taste. Somehow,
well, it's not just blatant. Yeah, they're actual jokes.
It's an actual parody. Yeah,
it's an actual
it's
parody.
It's funny the way it does it.
Yeah, it's not just like having this spy like rush in and like he's in a tuxedo and then he opens the door to what you're expecting. For one, you already know the fucking setup, right?
They basically just make James Bond look like a boob and then shoot him.
Right. Before even opening the door, I'm like, well, that's not going to be a swanky like dinner party. That's going to be some sort of like death metal concert. You can kind of hear the drums in the background.
Yeah.
And he's going to be completely fish out of water and he's going to stick out and he's going to look like an idiot. And sure enough, they do it. And it's just not funny.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if they played it off like the Bond character himself thought he was looking cool and blending in, it might have been a little better. But he's literally like also looking like more booby than Xander Cage.
I think this can tie
stumbling through the crowd.
This can tie in well to the next thing I want to mention, and it's how would you fix it? And I think I'll go first real quick because I think a good thing they could have done here, since the whole theme is basically this ain't your daddy's James Bond. This ain't your grandpa's James Bond. What they could have done is they could have teamed Xander Cage up with a more formal tuxedo-wearing, suave,
like a buddy cop, like a Lethal Weapon.
Right. That's what they could have done to improve the movie a lot, and to also play off the James Bond tropes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Then you get to have fun with it, right?
Right.
Which again would be more fun.
They have different skill sets. Maybe James Bond isn't good at blending in with these extreme gangsters, and Xander Cage shows him how it's done in that regard.
Xander's got to show him how to like ride a skateboard, and he fucking sucks at it.
And he impresses
It's the first thing James Bond has been bad at, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they could have done.
And Xander Cage's moment during the test of like heroism and courageousness, like impresses the James Bond character.
Yeah, because it shows that he's not just this criminal mook jerk.
Right, maybe you do have it in you.
Yeah.
to do the job. So yeah,
And they play off each other well.
I think to fix it, I think that's an amazing answer. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. They were shooting for something, and they should have leaned into it and leaned into the stunts, I guess, more but also better, right? So I can watch the X Games and think it's cool. I can watch the Winter Olympics. I can watch Shaun White snowboard and think it's cool and see something in it.
I can appreciate that they're so good at it. Yeah.
Right. So I know there's a way to do that and have those stunts where it doesn't look like your person's out of control. And also, I mean, you get the people who are really into that stuff watching it. So they needed to key more on the whole XXX factor. Work it more into the plot.
I can only picture...
Have more stunts that are focused on, driving, snowboarding, fucking rollerblading, I don't know. But just more of it. Just a lot more of it. And not... Maybe instead of giving Xander Cage some fucking car. Because, I mean... He does a lot of driving in this movie, and driving isn't an extreme sport.
Yeah, well, but
puts Xander Cage in he's infiltrating some Colombian gang thing, and a lot of that stuff's in the sticks, so he has to ride dirt bikes a lot, right?
What I think they could have done to tie in both the James Bond aspect and the extreme sports aspect is gone. More Fast and Furious route. So maybe these are professional car thieves, and they need a consultant, and Xander Cage is the consultant, and that's the reason they pick him. So they want the James Bond guy because he's the actual spy, but they need an actual consultant who knows the illegal car game and stuff like that.
Right.
Something like that.
And he needs to be someone who's famous in it, right? Because James Bond can't just be knowledgeable in it, and they can't really make him an alias because they're not interested in that.
And then once
they want Xander Cage.
Right. Once Xander Cage, the famous Xander Cage, has got the in, and then he introduces his buddy, James Bond.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
He's like, this is my accountant friend. If I'm in, he's got to be in too.
Yeah. Also, 86 is a stupid revolver. It's fucking dumb. Every time it came out,
revolver, yeah.
It's this fancy gun. He couldn't Q doesn't have it set with some way to tell Xander Cage what bullets loaded in the gun without him pulling out the cylinder and putting it back in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess how I would improve the movie overall is mix the Kingsman with Fast and Furious with the X Games, I guess.
Yeah, I mean...
Because Kingsman's got the professional, formal, trained guy, and this younger kid is being trained by the more formal dude. And the Fast and Furious element is this hotshot infiltrates this car racket.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, you could film the entire movie in Dutch angles.
Yes.
Why not? Why if we're doing everything extreme?
A bunch of one shots, shaky cam.
They already did 70% of it in Dutch angles. Just go the whole way.
Upside down shots, get wild with it. GoPros everywhere. This is probably before action cameras, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's why they have handy cams and crap.
Yeah.
Oh. GoPro would be all over this if it was after that.
God, yes. They'd be shelling out so much money to be part of that.
Alright, let's go over some trivia real quick. So, the middle X is capitalized to differentiate the film from the porn rating.
Yeah, so when I was looking at how to see this movie, the first thing I clicked in my browser was stream XXX. And I just knew that wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go. So I put in 2002 afterwards, and I was still doubtful, and I was right. Not what I wanted came up, so I'll have to try that next time. But there won't be a next time.
You're never watching this again.
No.
Eric Bana was the first choice to play Xander Cage.
You're out of your mind.
They approached Eric Bana.
The Passion of the Christ. No, he wasn't the Passion of the Christ.
No, he was the Hulk from the first.
He was the Hulk, yeah. Fuck.
But he turned it down to do the Nugget.
So someone thought of this movie outside of Vin Diesel.
The script, and
this seems like something you think of, we need a movie with Vin Diesel in it,
somebody
and then
extreme.
You come up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Eric fucking Bana.
Eric Bana wasn't extreme enough to play the Hulk.
Yeah, no one bought... He wasn't extreme... He wasn't playing the Hulk. He wasn't extreme enough to play Bruce Banner.
Yeah, he wasn't extreme enough to play Bruce Banner. The chill version of the Hulk.
Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor was offered the role of Yorgi, the Russian... The Scottish Ewan McGregor was offered the role
Who
of
the fuck thought they were going to afford Ewan McGregor for this movie?
Yeah. I mean, this was before... Was it before Clone Wars and Phantom Menace? No, Phantom Menace was 1999.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
And this is also the first film in which Vin Diesel plays the lead role.
Like, this was in the middle of him doing...
Yeah, he was currently Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, this is in the middle of him getting that sweet, sweet Star Wars money.
Oh,
this
man.
was his first movie to have the lead role?
Yeah.
What about Chronicles of Riddick?
Pitch Black was before it, and so was...
I guess he doesn't have the lead role in Pitch Black.
And he doesn't have the lead role in Fast and Furious 1, apparently.
He doesn't.
He's like a co-lead. He's like
He's
the
a co-lead,
antagonist.
but he's not like the main character.
He's technically the villain.
Yeah, that's right, I forgot.
But again, it's Point
Fast
Break.
and the Furious is like fucking anime.
Yeah.
Where your
Fast and Furious
villains
is
become...
my favorite anime.
Your villains become family.
Yeah. Everybody's family.
Doesn't matter how horrible of a monster you were, you'll be like friends and allies
Dom
in the next
becomes
movie.
the protagonist, and
he does.
the other guy eventually is no longer in the films.
Yeah.
Like, he's a background character. And he's dead, but, that's...
He died doing what his character loved.
Yeah. Driving quarter mile at a time. Tony Hawk is one of the crew who collects Xander after the bridge space jump. Vin Diesel performed many of his own stunts. However, Van Diesel was sick for the Corvette base jump, and Pro Tim Rigby performed the stunt wearing a Vin Diesel mask. So just a giant egg head mask. A bald-ass head.
They didn't just have Vin Diesel stunt doubles? Is that so hard?
I think they did. They were in the movie with him at one point.
Right. If that guy wasn't a Vin Diesel stunt double, then what the
fuck
was he doing?
Any bald guy. You don't have to wear a Vin Diesel mask. He looks so generic.
That guy who's sitting next to Vin Diesel could have been a clone of Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
If he wasn't a stunt double...
Family.
Oh my god.
So, in the action scene on the drug farm, Van Diesel and his stunt driver were wearing bulky helmets, which were replaced with CGI versions of Vin Diesel's head. Created...
I like how Vin Diesel's such a generic-looking man that 2002 CG could be used flawlessly.
There's all kinds of CG and giant helmets shaped like Vin Diesel's head on this movie.
And Vin Diesel masks.
His big egg head.
I have not noticed. And I've been looking hard because I've been wanting to see his stunt doubles.
Oh. Okay, here's the good piece of trivia. Stunt player Harry O'Connor was killed when he hit a pillar in the Pulaski Bridge in Prague, parasailing during one of the action scenes. The accident occurred while filming the second take of the stunt. O'Connor's first attempt was completed without incident and can be seen in the completed film. So he actually did the stunt once fine.
They made him do it again.
The second take is what killed him. And they kept the first take because it was fine enough.
You have to at that point.
Yeah,
right?
at that point you have to.
If the first take is fine enough and the dude died, you're trying to get you a better take, you use his first take.
But what I mean by fine enough is that when watching the movie, I didn't think that it needed another shot from a different angle because it looked fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, it looked just fine.
Yeah.
It's a dude ziplining. Like, you don't need a billion different shots. Actually, that's something...
I don't like.
Yeah,
actually.
Like, if you're going to have a kick-ass stunt in and of itself, you don't want to muddy it with a bunch of different cuts because that actually makes it look fake. If you want me to really if you want a layperson to take in the fact that a real human being did this death-defying thing, you really have to do it in a oneer.
It's what is good about the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible stunts when he's doing them himself. Because, like you said, they do them in one shot, and they don't need to emphasize it or anything. You can tell that it's real.
Yes.
And that's one thing I actually don't like about a lot of stunt movies. They did it a lot in the 70s. Where they'd be so obsessed with this one stunt, they're like, this is the money shot, this is why people come. And there'd be like a stunt that does a car that does a flip in the air and then explodes. And then they would show it again from a different angle, and then again from a different angle, and then again from a different angle. And like, look how cool this is.
Yeah, it bastardizes it.
Yeah. And it kind of makes you numb to it too. It's like not as cool as if it just happened and you're like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like, that's the thing. When I saw him doing that zip line, I saw that, I was like, holy shit.
That's impressive because I know the guy actually
because
did.
they had only one shot of it.
Yeah.
Little did I know that this guy's death is what saved that scene, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they were going to throw in 100 shots of it.
Yeah, his sacrifice wasn't in vain.
Yeah.
That's sad. So, the double swing doors in the agency showing a map of the world does not have New Zealand on it, which is quite a big landmass to miss. 10 out of 11 found this interesting. Alright. When Xander arrives in Colombia, his jacket disappears and reappears between 3 shots. 3 out of 3 found this interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
4 out of 4.
It's pretty good. All of the tattoos worn by Van Diesel in this movie are fake. In real life, Van Diesel does not have any tattoos.
No, he's a total D&D nerd.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that he was selected for this. I mean,
Yeah.
his body type and I guess the niche
He's kind of in an extreme
How did
crowd.
he get that fucking niche? Is it all because of Riddick? In Pitch Black?
Well, he's also Fast and Furious. It's like he goes for that niche of being a macho dude.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's like...
Like, that's not his personality at all.
No, he seems like a really jolly, nice dude to be with.
He is.
Yeah. Like, he voiced the Iron Giant and Groot. He's like
I
a
forgot
jolly,
he voiced the
friendly
Iron Giant.
Yeah, like, I don't... Let's get this out of the way. I do not dislike Van Diesel.
No, he's a fine actor.
He's cool. He's probably
for,
a chill
for, like,
dude.
his role.
Yeah. If I were to hang out with him in real life, I'm sure he'd be a pretty fun dude to be around.
Yeah. His movies just fucking
some
blow.
of his movies suck. That's all.
Most of them.
During the captive scene where XXX is captured, Danny Trejo plays an individual who's going to kill him. His weapon of choice is the machete. Danny Trejo plays a character named Machete in the Machete movies and the Spy Kids movies.
Wait, he plays a character named Machete in...
Yeah, I haven't seen the Spy Kids movies,
Spy... Oh.
but he is Machete in that too, because it's directed by the same guy.
Which always blows my mind that Robert fucking Rodriguez
Yes.
directs Spy Kids.
Yeah,
And I think
for
Shark
kids.
Boy and Lava Girl?
Yeah, I think so too. And Machete is like, I think he's the Q Branch guy in the Spy Kids movies. But he's also Machete from the extremely gory, violent, sex-filled, drug-filled Machete movies.
Now that's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Which is also trying to be a cult classic, but Robert Rodriguez can do that right.
I think the first Machete is better than the second, but yeah.
No.
You know? I haven't seen the full second movie.
Oh, the second's good.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have to give
The
that a
first
shot.
has shock value. Maybe we'll put... It sounds like you want to hate Machete too.
I don't know if it's cheesy on purpose or not. Yeah, maybe.
It is cheesy on purpose, just like Machete 1 was.
Okay.
But it does it well, I think.
Maybe I want to hate it. Put that on the back burner.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. This movie reteamed Van Diesel with the Fast and Furious 2001 director Rob Cohen.
Alright, so I don't know as much about movies as I let on. Is that one of the Coens?
I know, I thought the same thing.
Is it not?
I have no idea.
Fuck.
I guess not.
I hope so.
Just because they seem like... Because on his IMDb, like the top movies, one of them's like a dragon movie. And
Please tell me 50% of the directors of No Country for Old Men directed XXX.
Alright, let's check IMDb.
No, there's no way.
Okay, it's... Yeah. On his main IMDb, it's none of the top tier, like, Coen Brothers movies. It's,
Yeah, there's no bloody way.
It's some B-grade stuff. Okay, here's another piece of trivia. Ahab was the name of the captain of the Pequod, the whaler in Moby Dick. Okay.
Thanks.
Did you know that the...
That one went over my head.
Did you know that the...
Did you know that they're making fun of James Bond in the beginning of this movie?
Did you know that the Aqua in Aquaman stands for water? It's a joke from the Weekly Planet. Alright. So, keeping in mind that you did not watch Donnie Darko with us in the first episode, where would you rank Donnie Darko and XXX?
I've also never seen Donnie Darko, so I'm going to put XXX ahead of that because I'd like to think that XXX is better than Donnie Darko.
So would I. It's enjoyable in ways. Yeah. And who would win in a fight? Donnie Darko or Xander Cage? Or alternatively, and also, Jake Gyllenhaal and Van Diesel.
Xander Cage and Vin Diesel would annihilate Jake Gyllenhaal.
Teenage Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Or Donnie Darko.
Uh,
He pulls it together in the
I
end.
think it would be a close fight just because Xander Cage would flail around wildly a lot trying to do stunts and screwing up. But yeah, eventually he'd get him with like a trank gun or something.
With a...
After he tries to shoot him and the safety's on, and you know.
Right. He'd eventually get his act together.
Yeah. He'd accidentally kill Jake Gyllenhaal. Drop an avalanche on him or something. Alright, so wrapping up, just the cleanser palette from XXX. What else are some of your pet peeves? Previously I said I think Quentin Tarantino is overrated.
What?
I think he's overrated.
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, okay, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I think he's fine.
Why
Here's the
is
thing.
Okay, what is the thing?
The thing is, if anybody else who wasn't Quentin Tarantino wrote a script like Quentin Tarantino, they'd say you're just writing some overwritten, shitty dialogue rip-off of a Quentin Tarantino movie.
No, because it would be bad. You can do it well and actually build tension with the dialogue, which he is very good at.
He's okay at dialogue. His movies are long.
Motherfucker, XXX was 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah. He gets good performances.
It ain't longer than that. No, fuck you, man.
All right.
He's fine. He's
fine.
Brilliant.
That's what I think. I think he's fine. And his movies are fine. His movies are good, even.
I think he's exceptional. Name a movie that isn't like... I don't know. I guess he has some that I haven't seen.
The Hateful Eight.
You didn't like The Hateful Eight?
The Hateful Eight was his worst film. It's terrible.
What don't you like about it?
All of it.
Name something specific. Just sounds like you want to hate it.
I do want to hate it. I want to hate it really bad. So
the whole thing is like a tension pressure cooker in a room.
Right. It's taken that. I think that's his big trope is the tension pressure cooker in a room.
It is.
And the dialogue and people just getting mad and more tense over time. Mm-hmm. But to me, I think it's just the characters aren't engaging. The Sam Jackson's just trying to egg this guy on so that he'll shoot, and then he shoots him first. Kurt Russell's. They're just a bunch of people. It's the tropes of Quentin Tarantino boiled down to basically just that one scene, the whole movie.
They're not likable characters.
Yeah.
And I do think that's kind of a downfall, and now we're digressing into a movie that I have not seen in quite some time, and you clearly want to hate it. But, they're not likable characters in it, and that does make it a little... Like, the most likable character is Kurt Russell, and it's probably very intentional that they kill him off, like, right in the beginning. I think he's the first character to die.
Yeah. And that's something I don't like.
And he's also not very likable, right? Like, he's a mercenary.
Even
he's a bounty hunter. He's like, his moral code is that he's not going to kill her, but he is very intentionally going to take her to Texas where they will kill her.
Yeah.
And he's not like, I'm going to take her to face justice, and then a jury will decide. He's like, I'm going to take her to Texas to hang, because it's the hangman's job to hang her.
Yeah.
Like, he's your most likable character, so I get that.
Yeah.
And
you know what? You might have just touched on a reason I don't like his movies so much. It's because I don't like any of his characters. That's probably why I like Kill Bill the most out of all of his movies. Because I actually like the bride. I like her as a character.
I love Bill.
I like Bill too, yeah.
Like, Kill Bill...
I care about what happens to them because they're cool characters.
For all the fucking violence in Kill Bill's like just a story about a bad breakup. And it fucking resonates with all of us by the end of it,
Yeah, and... Yeah. I guess it's...
Like, my favorite part about both the Kill Bill movies, and I don't even like Kill Bill 1 as much as I like Kill Bill 2. Kill Bill 1's actually, honestly... if Kill Bill existed on its own, I would think that would be Tarantino's worst movie. It's a great parody on a bunch of, like, kung fu movies that I actually didn't grow up with, so I don't have that connection with it. But I don't even want to say parody. It's like a callback to them.
Yeah.
But
it's just cool action.
Kill Bill 2 is what resolves like all like the emotional tension.
It's more
my favorite part about Kill Bill 2 is finally when she meets Bill.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
It's like the last 40 minutes, not 40 minutes, but maybe the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
is just them unpacking everything with Bill, and that's great. I love that. I will watch that scene in and of itself over and over again.
Yeah,
but
it's the same reason I couldn't finish watching The Sopranos. Like I got in a few episodes, but then I stopped. It's because I don't like any of the characters. I want them all to be caught and killed and stuff because they're all heinous killers,
Right.
They're terrible human beings.
Right.
In Pulp Fiction, I guess Bruce Willis is somewhat sympathetic, but you don't follow him throughout
Sam
much.
Jackson's
Sam Jackson.
character?
Yeah, Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis are probably the most sympathetic characters that you want to follow.
Those are the main characters that you follow.
Yeah, and the scene with John Travolta and Uma Thurman. You know,
John Travolta, he's an unlikable character.
Yeah,
he's likable in that scene.
Yeah, and I think that movie's good.
Oh fuck, what's it gonna do? It seems like Mia's into him. That's gonna be an issue? Like,
but that movie's just a collection of good scenes, and it's a good movie. But it's not the best movie ever made.
No.
Yeah,
I would never say that.
A lot of people would.
It's my favorite movie. I also wouldn't say it's
Pulp Fiction's your favorite movie?
I wouldn't say it's the best movie ever made, though. And I know that seems like contradictory, but I mean, I can recognize my favorite movie is not the best, right? Yeah. Objectively.
No, I do like... I think of his movies, that's in the top 2, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reservoir Dogs, it's middle of the road for me.
Yeah.
Because, again, the only character I can somewhat root for is Undercover Cop. And I still can't really root for him because they don't flesh him out or anything.
For someone who's overrated, we could very easily talk a lot about this man in his movies.
Yeah.
I just want to say...
I'm not saying he's not good. I think he is a great director. I just think he's overrated, and I think he's got a big, giant gremlin head, and I think he's a cryptid. I think he's a cryptid that's... he's like one of those mythical fairy tale creatures that loves feet, and then he just somehow happened to be, found that he's a really good writer and director.
Oh yeah, he's a really good writer and
director.
But
in reality, he is just a cryptid. Like, the same as the Jersey Devil and stuff. He's a goblin that loves feet.
Dude, I don't give a shit. Especially
I don't say I don't like the man.
Especially in today's movie-making industry where the only way you can find something that's a little bit unique is to, like, scour Netflix through the garbage that they have, and then maybe you, like, stumble upon a Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Like... If you're going to see, like, a box office movie, they're all just, like... It's a Marvel movie, which, for better or worse, you get what you get with a Marvel movie. And then...
They're all generally good.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Like, now we're remaking all these... We're remaking Ghostbusters and all that shit. Quentin Tarantino's one of the few dudes at this point who will, like, make a movie, like a big blockbuster movie, and you hear the title and you're like, well, I don't know what that's about. And then you look at the trailer and you're like, oh, wow, that seems like an original idea. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, awesome.
Is that movie good? I haven't seen it yet.
I honestly haven't seen it either, so I guess that goes against my point. I've wanted to. It has piqued my interest for this long, right?
Yeah.
It's just, at a certain point, it's hard to watch
No,
all
it's
these
good.
movies.
And I do like auteur filmmaking.
Right.
And stuff.
So, thanks, XXX. I couldn't have watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but instead I watched you and talked on this podcast. I could have watched you and watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but instead I had to watch you and comment on
This was your
you.
choice. You did this. You did this to yourself. But, okay. So other than Quentin Tarantino, here's another pet peeve. Raisin Brand should have been called Crazen Brand.
Yes.
And Total War Warhammer.
Total Warhammer.
It's right there.
Yep.
Total Warhammer.
There was that Red Dead Revolver.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption.
Undead
Nightmare or something.
Yeah, it could have had Red Undead Redemption.
Yeah, it's right there. It's teed up.
Yeah,
Red Undead Redemption.
I don't know. Yeah, when people miss naming opportunities, that bothers the fuck out of me. But what can you do? I guess I should have a job in marketing. If you want to fix it, fix it.
Yeah.
I chose the wrong profession.
As a pet peeve of mine. Do you like Seinfeld?
No, I fucking hate it.
Do a Jerry Seinfeld impression.
I don't need shaving cream on a wooden beam!
What's the deal with their fine food?
Fuck Seinfeld.
Bees!
Now, to be fair, Seinfeld evokes the same feelings in me as a Vietnam veteran. I hear like that bass line, and I'm like, Charlie in the tree line! And I like tie up to the ground. Like
1,000-yard stare.
My parents used to watch that back, and it was back before like internet and
mine too.
TiVo and
my
shit.
Parents would watch Friends and Mad About You and Seinfeld.
Yeah, so by the time my parents were watching Friends, I was old enough to get the jokes. But when it came to Seinfeld, I couldn't get it. So that and Cheers. So, yeah, I just have this PTSD of, like, jokes I don't understand. It's just people sitting and talking, and it is the fucking worst.
George!
In that voice.
George!
So, to be fair to Seinfeld, as I know a lot of people think it's the best fucking sitcom out there, I think it's overrated like Quentin Tarantino. but I have not given it a modern chance with my adult brain. So maybe I would like it more, and it's something I will possibly give a chance, or possibly watch an episode, and then comment on it, because I do want to hate Seinfeld.
That's the most positive I've ever heard you... Yeah, that's another thing we can do on the show, by the way, is we can watch, like, an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
A pilot episode, or just a random episode of a show.
Yeah,
that's not off the table.
If we were doing... If I want to hate Seinfeld, and, you know... the goal is to get me to not want to hate Seinfeld and like get me to really open my mind to it. I mean, let's not pick a random one. You'd want to give me one of the classics, right? Like Sweet Nazi or something.
Yeah.
Or George Costanza's fucking wallet or whatever. His big wallet.
Soap on a rope.
Soap on a rope. Like some of that shit. I don't care. But it should be one of the good ones, right?
Why do they never put buns in hot dog bun packages with the right number of buns? There's always one extra bun.
What do you do with that bun? It's a bonus bun!
Kramer busts in. Hey, Jerry! Audience cheers.
It sounds like we just wrote a Seinfeld episode. Were you actually... Were you actually... Like, is that actually a Seinfeld episode? Because it felt...
No.
It felt legit. I mean... Okay.
Alright. So, what else have you been watching, reading, or playing?
I just started with Witcher 2.
Oh, yeah.
Witcher Season 2, I guess I should say.
With,
Henry Cavill. Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty legit.
Yeah.
I like it so far. I mean, it's just a good bit of world building. I've always wanted to read the books. I suppose I'll have to at some point.
I mean, they're in Polish.
Definitely
have not been translated.
Version.
Never been translated.
Like, you're where the Bible isn't in English, right? Or was it originally?
That'd be amazing if they never did translate it. And never will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the first season. I forgot what happens, but I remember.
I don't like that they told it in sequential order.
They did?
Yeah, and it doesn't really have a payoff, really.
In the first season?
Yeah, it's just eventually you realize that they're not telling the story in sequential order.
I just remember
I don't want to say not in sequential order, but they're years apart, right? Like when you're seeing the origin of Yennefer of Vengerberg, it's happening like 1,000 years before Geralt's story.
I think the interesting thing is that Yennefer, to me, was more of the protagonist and main character than Geralt was. Geralt was just kind of a guy you occasionally catch up with.
Yeah, well, I mean, Geralt's kind of like the new man with no name, right? Or Mad Max, you know? He's kind of like a blank slatey type character. He's really interesting in and of his own right, but it's more because he's like capable and kind of mysterious. And he's a vessel to bring you into these scenarios, into these new towns where these things are happening.
I think the narrative term is like he's a flat character arc because he already had his character arc, which was in his backstory. Mm-hmm. So now he's just who he is, and he impacts change on other characters around him. Yeah. And so
he's like David Carradine.
Yeah.
He's like he's like Kwai Chang Caine.
Yeah. Kung Fu. He goes to places,
which is one of my favorite TV series.
Yeah, me too. Just because that's an awesome concept.
Yeah. So I mean, Yennefer's totally the main character of season 1.
Yeah.
And I think this one it's Ciri.
Yeah, because she was introduced like right at the end, right?
She's introduced all throughout, but Geralt finally meets up with her at the end of season 1. Right. And now I've only seen the first episode and half of the second, but they're definitely keying on Ciri now.
Oh man, nice.
Which is fine. I mean, she's an interesting character. It looks like she's going to be. I haven't finished it, but it looks like she's going to be raised by
wolves.
Yeah, the White Wolf.
Yeah. Again, it's not going to connect with other witches,
but I mean, no, it's going to connect.
Oh, that's true. He is the White Wolf. Yeah, the spirit of the hunt or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's not a spoiler because I'm sure they're following the video game somewhat. I mean, it's going to follow her upbringing by the Witchers.
You know what? The Witcher's technically the best video game adaptation, even though it's just an adaptation of the book. It doesn't count.
You're right. You're right.
I just finished Jessica Jones season 1.
Oh, what'd you think of that?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the best villains.
Yeah,
you know?
because what's interesting about it is that he's in love with her. And the main...
No, he's not. You're what? That's what you got out of it?
No, well, he's obsessed with her.
Okay.
She's a thing of obsession for him because his whole thing is control.
He's the one thing that he can't really have.
Yeah.
He
It's a
have her, but it was
sociopath.
weird. He didn't get to keep her.
It's how
In a weird way.
sociopath thinks that they love things, like a serial killer. Like a serial killer collects trophies, and he says, like, I love my trophies. But
Yeah.
that's not what love is. It's obsession.
Right.
And it's the same thing with Jessica Jones, because, spoiler warning, somehow she breaks the mind control that he has, and so he can't stand that, because most of his life he's been able to control everything.
Right.
And
To
so,
the point where he doesn't even know what it feels like to not control anything.
right. And so it's the satisfaction of controlling that he wants to be able to control Jessica Jones, so he doesn't just outright get her killed.
Which is so, he's the coolest character, because that really would turn a monster into anybody no matter what.
Well, yeah, if you could tell anybody to do anything,
And they would
especially
do it.
And his backstory is he's basically a young kid, and it's basically torture that eventually gives him his powers. So he's not right in the head by the time he gets his powers, and then he just never learned empathy or anything like that.
And it'd be hard to when you can literally just ask someone, like, do this, do that, give me this, give me that, and they'll just do it.
Yeah. And you wouldn't value human life or anything, because you just can toss it away at a hand, hand wave.
The cops come over to arrest you. They know you did this thing. You'd be like, don't arrest me. And they're like, okay. Forget that I ever did this. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And the main confrontation with Jessica and David Tennant happened prior to the season beginning.
Yeah.
So that's like when she first met him and stuff, and she's got PTSD. Yeah, it was a great season.
Yeah, I just made the comment that a lot of Marvel shit's mediocre, but that was something that was really good, just because the villain itself.
Yeah.
I
I'd say
haven't
he's
seen
in
an
the
interesting villain.
Top
in a lot
5
of
Marvel
things.
villains in MCU.
Easy.
Yeah.
He might be top 1.
Yeah, he's definitely up there.
Who's better, right? Like, Thanos was a neat event. That's
Who is
not
the
a good
gray
villain.
monster in that one movie? The Dark Elf from Thor: The Dark World.
Whatever. Yeah. Great villain.
That one I
You can't even describe what he is. Like, what's that gray monster?
The gray generic villain? That one.
Did it have Thor's exact powers? Because that's kind of Marvel's MO.
Technically, I'd say Loki, because he got the Vegeta treatment where people liked him so much he
he's more of
became
a
a main
character now.
character.
Yeah. I guess you could technically count him,
But he wasn't like a villain.
Back in his role as a villain, he was kind of lame.
Yeah, he was kind of.
He was like bad Thor,
and he was just doing the bidding of.
Yeah.
Purple Man, as we find out. Not that Purple Man.
Oh,
Thanos is Purple Man.
Yeah. I was like, what?
I guess the biggest villains in the MCU are both purple.
Good point.
I've also I read Restaurant at the End of the Universe.
I do not know what this is.
It's the sequel to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I also listened to on audiobook for the first.
Nice.
That's good. Good satirical. Dexter New Blood, I've been watching. It's amazing so far. Yeah.
Okay.
Jedi Fallen Order, the game. Played that. Beat it.
Good job.
Good job, EA.
Now play Dark Souls. Play real Dark Souls.
No, Dark Souls is boring.
It's not!
Bad game. Real
Sounds
gamers
like you
don't
wanna
play
hate
Dark
it.
Souls. I do want to hate it. It's just it's one of those
good,
investment
scrub.
games, okay?
Get good.
I don't want to invest time in it.
To be fair, I mean, that was something I played back in college. I don't know if I'd want to invest the time now to play it, because it's hard. And to play it right, for one, it's impossible to get the Dark Souls experience unless you play the game like right when it comes out.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to feel stuck and you're going to want to look for something.
And I'm going to, because I don't have the time.
And you're going to
screw
find
around.
it, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing about Dark Souls is...
discovering stuff.
Right. And when Dark Souls came out, there were like rumors and stuff that were not true. Like for the longest time for Dark Souls, it was said that you could like... There's this boss like Sif, who is like... Artorias is like in the lore is like this godlike character.
Yeah.
You're fighting his dog, which is a giant dog that wields his sword, and he's kind of the most empathetic boss.
Yeah, it's a sad fight.
Yeah, and
because he's protecting his owner, basically.
Right, and there's a point where when you're fighting him, hardly any of the bosses show signs of physical wear and tear. When you're fighting him, he starts limping around and yelping. Yeah. And there was a rumor for the longest time that you could actually befriend him and choose to not kill him.
Yeah.
And there were always this, like, this is how you do it. It's got to be, like, super specific and things like that. It was just a rumor. It's never the case. You always had to kill a fucking dog. But that was the first time since way back in the 90s that those rumors would be
Yeah,
like wildly
since
popular.
before the internet.
Yeah, remember
Game
like,
Informer days.
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
like back in the 90s
Game
you'd
Pro.
read a Game Pro or like some sort of gaming magazine
Tips
and
and tricks.
in
and
a
stuff.
published article it would tell you like this is a thing that you do
Yeah.
to make this thing
Oh,
happen and
I
it's
s-
dead ass fucking wrong.
I still remember there was a magazine. I think it was Game Pro. On they always would have April Fool's issues,
Mhm.
and there was one for Resident Evil 2. And in Resident Evil 2, you eventually go to a secret Umbrella Factory lab, underground lab, and there's like those cylinders where like the Tyrant is in and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of them was empty, and there's this Game Pro where they like did some photoshopping and stuff. And since Capcom owns Street Fighter, they
Put,
had
like, Ryu in
pictures
it?
of Akuma,
Nice.
and it showed pictures of Akuma in that tube, and pictures of Akuma, and with the tank controls, and the prefixed camera angles, like shooting a fireball at zombies.
Nice.
And I thought that was the coolest freaking thing in the world. And of course, it wasn't real.
Right. But
like
that's
rumors,
intentional. Like,
rumors and stuff like
they
that.
would publish stuff in their that's unintentionally wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Plus,
Just-
kids at school would just be like, "Oh, there's this sweet fatality that Sub-Zero can do. You just have to do the right button combo."
Yeah, so it gave me that feeling again.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing about those FromSoft games. But
Yeah.
you kind of have to play them right when they come out to still get that actual experience.
Yeah, I can understand it. Also, it's just a grim setting, and like it's all entropy, and you're the bad guy, but you're not the bad guy, and you're trying to stop the futile attempt to keep the flame burning. And
I don't even pretend to know the story.
that's what I got out of it.
I just min-max that shit.
Oh fuck! Just pull up a good guide and speedrun it.
No, I don't do that, but I mean,
Yeah, you play it for the gameplay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know they're good. It's like I know they're good games, but I just don't want to invest. Also, the other thing is it's got that Zelda syndrome, where I know if I play it and then I don't play it for like 3 weeks and I come back, I'll be absolutely lost and my skills will have faded.
That part is true. You do lose the skills. You get them back pretty quick. I came back to Dark Souls, and
You have, and it worked.
yeah, and it worked just fine.
Okay.
I just respect as a mage.
Oh, okay. Fire Mage.
Ugh.
Yeah. And I've been playing Teardown, MechWarrior 5, Resident Evil 3 OG on the PlayStation 1, and I just watched Under Siege.
Excellent.
Alright. Final thoughts.
Just in general, don't watch XXX. Don't fucking do it.
Don't watch XXX.
I saved you this time.
I say watch XXX.
With a friend.
With a friend. Watch XXX with a friend who hates it.
50% of the time, that's your answer.
50% of the time, watch XXX with a friend who hates it.
Other times, fucking avoid it.
If you like skateboarding and being rad.
None of that's in this movie, so...
Yeah, so ignore what I just said. Watch it with a friend who hates it 50% of the time. Thank you.
Bye.